Welcome to ProView's 2020 New Mexico High School Basketball Bracket Breakdown Show, live from the newly remodeled Public Access Studio, 519 Albuquerque. In downtown Albuquerque, I'm your host, Ed Nunez, along with ProView play-by-play broadcasters to my right, Sebastian Noel, and in the middle, Aaron Rivera. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Well, you bet. Of course, we're glad to have you. Sebastian?
Madness is ready to begin, right?
You know what? We've been looking forward to this show, and it's we want to make sure we thank Sally Marquez and Dusty Young and the entire NMAA for everything they do. We're reminding everybody, JP Marietta from the NMAA will be releasing the brackets on NMAA YouTube, and then we will be breaking them down after they come out after that. And Sebastian, you mentioned this time of year, everybody's looking forward to it. You've already got some watch party pictures and comments up, and it's a great time of year. You gentlemen have covered a lot more high school basketball than I have. I've been down a lot at Silver City, and so we're going to talk about that. But Aaron, we mentioned the one seeds are already out, so I don't know if you want to read those, and we'll talk about that after you've talked about who the one seeds are.
Yeah, sure. So NMAA, as you mentioned, already released those the number one seeds. So Animus for the girls 1A, Magdalena, no surprise about that on the boys' side. Escalante for girls 2A, Tularosa for boys 2A. Robertson 3A girls, Socorro 3A boys, Kirtland Central ends up pulling the 4A girls, Highland High School gets the 4A boys, and Volcano Vista for the 5A girls, and Las Cruces pulls off for the 5A boys.
I also want to mention we'll be joined by Chad Patterson for some of these segments as well. Sebastian, we talked about that. Las Cruces and Will Benjamin getting the number one seed, and Coach Benjamin was on my show a couple weeks ago, the Sports Desk, and they're ranked number 2 at that time. He got the number one seed. A lot of times, Coach Benjamin has things to say about not getting that number one seed.
I believe it's
and here it is.
Soon-to-be Aggie Hall of Famer,
that's
William
right.
Benjamin,
yes,
right?
That's
Get
right.
that right. Yeah, he's going to call you. I know how he is with you. So
he will.
He's
You're
going
right.
to get on
Yeah.
you. You don't get that right. He's going to make you kiss the ring every time
You know what?
see him.
I have no problem with that. He's a friend. He deserves it. And you're right. I'm glad you mentioned that. He is going to the Aggie Hall of Fame, and it's well deserved. But, we've talked about that, Sebastian. He's been on the show the last couple of years, and sometimes he's not happy about not getting that number one seed. He feels sometimes that the Bulldogs have been slighted.
Right.
And there it is, the number one seed.
Well, let's talk about how they got that number one seed this year. I think it kind of all came together late in the season, and a lot of it had to do with Academy winning their district. You remember they beat Academy in the Joe Armijo tournament. That was a win against the district champion. Them and Volcano Vista were tied in that category until Academy became a district champ. That category went to Las Cruces, so then essentially it was decided in the coaches poll, which we don't have a chance to see, that end of the year member school input, which is one of the criteria points. But Coach Benjamin gets the number one seed, deservedly so, I think. And but it could have been real interesting. If Academy didn't win that district, then Volcano Vista would have gotten the one seed based on their win against the district champion out of 2A, Manal. And that definitely would have given us something to talk about.
It didn't happen, but you're right. And you mentioned the NMAA seeding criteria, and let's go over that real quickly. Finish in regular season, district play is number 1. Number 2, head-to-head play. Number 3, wins against district champions. You just mentioned that, regardless of class, Sebastian. And number 4, overall record. Number 5, Max Preps Freeman rankings, and number 6, member school input, which you said we don't have access to.
And I mean, you're probably sitting at home saying to yourself, well, how does a team like Volcano Vista get a win against Manal, right? Well, that happens in these early season tournaments. So in the Cleveland tournament, which is a tournament that is notorious for this scheduling, they'll have a couple of really strong teams out of District 1, right? And then he'll schedule some teams that are maybe a lot lower in classification this year, Manal and I believe St. Mike, teams like that, the chances are they win their district, but it's in a lower class. And let's be honest, those District 1 teams can feast on those 2A and 3A teams. It's kind of an unfair advantage if you're in that tournament and you have a chance to play Manal. It didn't work out that way this year. Academy winning the district kind of helped right that wrong, but it certainly would have been interesting, an interesting talking point.
And it makes it really smart, too, that for Las Cruces to come up and play in the Joe Armijo tournament, because for the same reason, they play against a team that they probably would not have played against otherwise, who ends up taking their district at a lower classification. You get the extra points.
But
for
the
it.
difference is there, Aaron, they play in that Armijo tournament every year, and that's not scheduled by William Benjamin, right? That's an academy tournament that's scheduled by academy. I mean, the Cleveland tournament is scheduled by their head coach, Sean Jimenez. And so, I mean, hey, kudos to Sean for that scheduling, but it was set up for Cleveland and Volcano to get some extra wins against district champs. Like, let's just be honest, okay? That's the truth.
No, it is. That's probably you're right. And Coach Jimenez, they do schedule those. And the way it worked out, though, I think is amazing, though, as far as you mentioned that. A win against Academy catapults Las Cruces into a number 1 seed, which could have made an argument that they deserved that number 1 seed
Yes, no
anyway.
doubt.
But Volcano Vista had been ranked number 1 in even the last ranking that I saw this morning. They were still number 1.
Well, there's always going to be that argument, Ed, and I know our friends down south don't like to hear it, but there's always going to be that argument that is it more impressive to run the table in the city? Because you're playing every Metro team, you're playing in a very, very tough District 1. So is Volcano's undefeated record more impressive than, say, a Southern team's undefeated record, knowing that they play not as tough a schedule? That doesn't take anything away from William Benjamin's team. They deserve this number 1 seed, I believe.
That's a good point. Coach Benjamin's other argument when he's on my show a couple weeks ago was watch out for Hobbs. They beat Hobbs earlier, 70-55, I believe. And he said, look, we don't see Southern basketball as much as we see basketball here. So that was Coach Benjamin's argument, is watch out for Hobbs. And your argument is a valid one. I know which one you're making. His thing is, hey, I've got to go through district. You know, he's going to make his argument as passionate as the Albuquerque coaches would make theirs in playing in a Metro. You mentioned Volcano Vista against Trisco Heritage, right? Against Rio Rancho. Wally Salada's got a pretty good team. Against Cibola, didn't have a great year this year. Against the defending champions, Cleveland. So, but again, Coach Benjamin would tell you, he'd turn around and tell us, hey, our district and where we play down south of Hobbs, he mentioned that, and we'll talk about Hobbs later, you'd have to watch out for them as well.
I think in the end it all worked out okay, and it worked out okay because Academy won their district. And the Chargers are actually playing amazing basketball right now.
You know what? Look at Marco Baca. He took over this summer, in the midsummer, and took over that program there. I thought they had a potential last season when I saw him. I had him a couple times, and Kellen Garris, I thought as a guard, he also plays wide receiver on the football team. I thought he had a lot of leadership skill, and I thought they might be dangerous. But that coaching change in summertime, you never know how that's going to go. Although Coach Baca had been an assistant there at Academy under Jake Herron for a couple years.
And we should mention too, Coach Herron. A lot of family tragedy that kind of led him to step away. Coach Herron, I know, is probably watching, and I'm a big Jake Herron fan. And what he was starting to build there at Academy, naturally, Coach Baca was able to take over, but I know it had to really hurt Coach Herron to have to step away. But, priorities, family first, a lot of hardship hit Coach Herron, and I'm sure he'll be the biggest Charger fan the rest of the way.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And if, you mentioned that, Academy, we interviewed Coach Baca at halftime on Friday of the Del Norte Hope game, and he's got, he's got some great assistants there, and Anthony Santillanes and Steven Miera as well. But I think the Chargers, teams that are trending, Aaron, at the end of the season, I'm always looking at that. Teams that are on the rise, and Academy is definitely one of them.
Well, and they had some tough teams. Obviously, they had to play against the defending state champions in Del Norte a couple of times, and they, came out and shut Del Norte down. Right as Del Norte, you talk about teams that are starting to trend. Del Norte, at the end of the season, they get back their, one of their big guys, and all of a sudden they start rolling. So,
but they forgot how to play defense, apparently.
Yeah.
The last 3 weeks of the season. So that's a very alarming trend. As a Del Norte alum right now, that's an alarming trend for me, that defensively, suddenly, they can't guard anybody. Yeah, they get Shane Dumas-Sanchez back. Judah Casals has been fantastic. They're the defending champs. You think plug play, everything's ready to go by the end of the year. They haven't looked worse. They look bad right now. So can Coach McIntosh kind of rally the troops and let these guys realize, hey, we're defending champs. Let's pick it up a little bit. But right now, they look like a team that's lost their identity.
I got to say this, though. We got some watch parties, and we'll talk more about Del Norte because I still think they're dangerous. But you're right. Defensively, let's take a look at some watch parties on our screen.
That's Bosque. That's the Bobcats right there. I could tell by the blue and white.
There's Bosque, the Bobcats watch party.
That's our boys at Cleveland, the Storm, be interested to see where they're at, right? When we see that bracket, because they've kind of struggled, haven't they?
Defending
they've been
champs
up
are
and
13 and 15, I believe, right? 13 and 15 overall.
Been up and
Some more
down
watch
all kind of
parties.
year.
And that's always a big feature of our seating and selection show on ProView Networks. Some Chris Pettis, the legacy, the former New Mexico Lobo, Chris Pettis.
The Gorillas, right?
Silverbacks.
Pardon me,
Silverbacks.
Silverbacks.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I mean, it's a cool logo. That's one of my favorite parts about it.
Oh man, look at the spread they have out. When you get a chance, if you see Pecos's, oh my gosh,
Oh.
I just see boxes and boxes of pizza. I see tables catered everywhere. It looks like they're in a theater of some sort. I'm sure we're gonna get to more of those.
You should definitely pass me that when you get a chance.
Yeah.
And if you're in Pecos, you can always send food up our way.
You know, and that's another team that towards the end of the season, the Pecos Panthers, 4-time state champions, 20 and 6. I thought they trended upward, Sebastian, towards the end of the year.
Well, you talk about, I mean, I'll let Aaron get into it. I know that's a team that he kind of studied and focused, but a team that took their lumps early, right? Played a brutal schedule, and I think now they're going to reap the benefits of that. Aaron, I know
Yeah,
you
I mean, I agree on the boys' side. I was really watching out. I was hoping their girls would come up as well with them. They're probably going to fall off, but you always, I mean, Pecos is one of those schools that every year they always seem to come late on in the season. They appear when it comes time for the tournament, and you know, there's somebody you can always expect to see kind of in the finals.
I think that's a good point. And if you look at it, before Ira Harge Jr. had come there, they hadn't won a title in 50-some years. Then all of a sudden they win 4 straight. Now winning is expected there. They're expected to win and have the late season success that the Panthers have had, Sebastian.
Yeah, I mean, playoff time, that's what they do, right? They just win. I mean, Coach Harge certainly put that in place, and it's continued. And the fact that they play at the Santa Fe tournament, they play at the Al Armendariz tournament, it just gets them ready for this time of the year. And they know traditionally they're always playing at 8 o'clock for a state championship in the morning. Steve Davis and I have done some of those games, and we pull up to the pit at 7 o'clock, and oh my goodness, there's a line out. It's crazy because it's about to be Pecos and Newcomb, and the game's delayed 20 minutes because they didn't think 10,000 people would show up for an 8 o'clock game, but guess what? They did. Pecos always packs the pit. That's always fun.
Former St. Pius coach Damian Segura would always call that the Egg McMuffin game at 8 o'clock. He had plenty of those when he was the head coach of St. Pius. You know, turning towards Volcano Vista, Sebastian, with both the girls and boys program being undefeated. Girls on a 38-game win streak. That's unbelievable. They had a great article about Lisa Villarreal in the Journal yesterday. Great coverage on her and what a great coach she's at. She was a 2-sport star. They told her to choose one. She was actually better at softball as far as a player. They told her to choose one. She chose basketball. And I'll tell you, the Lady Hawks really had one close game. That was against Sandia, I believe, 51 to 40. Was their closest game all season. Sebastian, you had them last night. They've had a running clock for most of these seasons as far as their games, right? Now, I've always said, as a coach and a player, I kind of wanted my team to have some adversity to see how we respond. But sometimes your team is that good, and there's not much. That's how good they are. Jalen Bates, Kennedy Brown, T.T. Hill, and they've got everybody back. Natalia Chavez, the great call by you and Coach Brown last year on the game winner by Natalia Chavez from half court. What do you got, the Hawks?
Well, I mean, I think you just kind of said it all. I mean, I just have trouble making the case for anyone that can beat Volcano. I just think this is going to be a coronation, right? Not a tournament. They're that good. I mean, you could maybe make the case for Hobbs before they lose Wisdom Anthony. And I know Hobbs has continued to win after that injury. Coach Carpenter, with his 20th consecutive district title, that's unheard of, by the way. Unreal, the job that Joey Carpenter does. But, you know, without Wisdom Anthony, I don't know if I can make that argument there.
You know, that the sad thing is that happened. I think everybody wanted to see a rematch. Let's play it again. But Aaron, you can never. That's why they play the games.
Yeah.
Again, Volcano Vista is on a roll. Sebastian mentioned why. They're a very good team and very well coached. I think she keeps them hungry and aggressive by saying, look, there's still things to play for, but sometimes in the tournament action, you never know what's going to happen.
No, you don't. And, you know, the other thing is we've got some of the more watch parties.
Those are the Estancia Bears. I recognize those boys. They got their gear. Ed, I know you know those guys.
There's my guys at Highland.
That's the Ed Nunez Hospitality Lounge at Highland High, I believe.
I haven't named it yet. Yeah, they probably never will, but yeah, I'm very familiar with that place. Yeah. Evangel Christian now.
There you go.
And some more watch parties, and keep sending the pictures in to us. We'd love to see them. And you were saying, Aaron, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no, just to finish that, I mean, with Volcano, obviously everybody knows that first line of girls, but they're benched too all year. I mean, those players have played a ton all season because of all the running.
I don't think
clocks.
they lose much defensively
They
at all.
don't.
Maybe offensively they're not quite as good on that second line, right? But defensively they don't lose
No.
anything.
Well, you see, and they've got great offensive players like Storm New
Hey,
England.
there's Volcano Vista. There they are.
Aforementioned.
I like
Yeah.
that Lakers table, by the way. Did you see that, Ed? I know you got
Gosh, I
that.
missed it, man.
Los
You know
Angeles
what?
Lakers
I'm still a
table.
Laker guy, even though not having a great season.
Look at that. Look at that table.
We're
man.
going to take a break. We'll be back to the ProViews 2020 and New Mexico High School Basketball Bracket Breakdown Show after these messages on ProView Networks.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. ABQ Burrito, fast, fresh New Mexican. ABQ Burrito offers a large variety of burrito and taco fillings, in-house slow-cooked meats, and a great selection of cold beverages. Visit abqburrito.com and taste the tradition. Mo Justice. Mo Maestas is a big supporter of high school and college sports here in New Mexico and is your attorney for personal injury cases. Born and raised in Albuquerque, Mo has deep roots in our community. If your loved one is injured in an auto accident, contact or text Mo at 505-304-7497. Lobo Moving. Family owned and operated by local MBA graduates, Lobo Moving offers complete local and long-distance moving services around the state of New Mexico. Give them a call today at 505-803-9050 or visit them at lobomoving.com. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit hanswhitlerauto.com.
For certified collision and body repair, visit the experts at CarCrafters. 5 locations in Albuquerque and Rio Rancho. Visit carcrafters.com.
It's like it never happened.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Next in line.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
I'm Terry Wilson, quarterback for your New Mexico Lobos. Growing up in Oklahoma City, my Boys and Girls Club was a safe place where I would go to play sports, practice important values like respect and integrity, and of course, always do my homework. Here in New Mexico, the Boys and Girls Club is having a huge impact on kids and teens every day after school. All you Lobo fans out there, support the Boys and Girls Club and help our young people learn and grow. Great futures start here.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Green Tree Inn, North I-25, a pet-friendly hotel in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Enjoy affordable room rates for sports families and fans. Call 505-828-1600. Here at Extreme Clean, we celebrate our 30th year in carpet cleaning, and we are confident in our ability to handle any situation or cleaning emergency that you may experience. Please don't hesitate to contact us with any questions or concerns. Living in dusty Albuquerque, one of the best ways to cut down and remove dirt and allergens in your home is to use our carpet cleaning services. Give them a call today at 505-796-0505 or visit extremecleannm.com.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot. It's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks. Welcome back to ProView's 2022 New Mexico High School Basketball Bracket Breakdown Show, live from the newly remodeled public access studio, 519 Albuquerque in downtown Albuquerque. We also want to thank the NMAA and Steve Davis. We appreciate all their efforts for making these things and shows possible. Joined on set now by our other play-by-play broadcaster, Chad Patterson. Chad, welcome to the show.
Afternoon, Ed. Good to be here. It's that time of year.
Yeah.
First real regular tournament in 2 years. I'm so looking forward to just seeing all of you who are watching back in Albuquerque again.
You know what? I think that's important about when you mention that regular tournament. I was out there at La Cueva last night, and Farmington La Cueva girls for the district championship. Great following by Farmington. They might have had more fans there than La Cueva. And, you know, again, everybody had to wear the masks. The masks are not part of it. Everybody's, you know, it was great to see that. Band was out there, drill team, cheerleaders, which I don't know that we give enough credit to the band, right? And the cheerleaders, and they work very, very hard, and they deserve a ton of credit.
Well, and the atmosphere is just not the same when you don't have the band there blasting it out. Especially like in the gym, the band is so much more loud than when you're out on a football field. So getting that extra atmosphere just amps you up a little bit as a broadcaster, and I'm sure as a player.
You know what? When I played and I heard that band, it would hype it up for sure. And you should, again, the Farmington fans, they went in, they beat Cueva last night, and their fans traveled well. It was good to see, just like you mentioned though, Chad, first regular tournament in 2 years, and and thank God we're seeing some sense of normalcy again. It's important for kids, it's important for teachers, refs, everybody, right?
Absolutely. And, La Cueva, Rio Rancho, Volcano, I love you guys. Don't get me wrong. It's just the rest of the million other people in the state coming from Animas, coming from Shiprock, coming from Clayton, coming from Jow. It's once a year, and it's the one time, sometimes it's the only time I ever see you guys. And it's in March, and it's at the pit, and I can't wait to see it happen in 2022.
Well, and that Jowl drive is not a short one. I mean, we already made that once this year, so.
We did, down there for the Jowl Unis State Championship football game.
You know what? We're road warriors at ProView Networks. A lot of people don't know that, but I think that's been some of the funnest things is going to other places and covering games. That's some of the best times I've ever had.
I love it. Talking about atmosphere, because, and again, I love Albuquerque. I've been here for 20 years. I love it. And the big schools are great. A bigger talent pool, huge guys, amazing athleticism. But small towns, everybody's got to play. You got like the big brother and the 8th grade little brother like arguing over each other in the huddle, and like dad's the coach, and like 3 guys from the same family on the other team, and it's our town against your town, and that's why everybody shows up.
You know what? I totally agree. I officiated high school basketball for 22 years, right? And all the guys wanted all the big assignments, all the 5A. I'll tell you what. The smaller schools were some of the best games you ever saw. And you mentioned it meant as much to them as the big schools games did to everybody else, right?
Absolutely.
And I remember going down, I had Pecos and Mora at Highland one time as an official. And that gym was full, man. That gym, I went to Highland, I coached at Highland, I played at Highland. I don't know if I saw the gym that full then that afternoon. I'm telling you, Northern New Mexico basketball, you already know, Chad.
I do. Yeah. Pecos and Mora can play some ball, especially Mora. They don't play football, so they're always ready. And Pecos always a team to beat. We'll get to them in 2A in just a little while.
Well, both of those schools always pack. I mean, for playoffs, that's one of the things I will miss about this year, not having the full flight for the quarterfinals. I mean, that's when you get to see all those Mora fans, all those Pecos fans just fill up, whether it's at Cleveland High School or Bernalillo High School. Like, the entirety of Mora County seems to come down and fills up both sides, and then the local team will be stuck with just a little corner of the gym.
It's true, and I love PA announcing when I get the chance to do that, especially at the pit, because I sit down at the bottom and I look up, and just when the folks come from the country, it's the whole town and that whole side of the stadium. It's like everybody's there. I don't know who turned off the lights when whoever leaves last has to turn the lights off when they leave, but everybody's there, everybody's yelling, and everybody's completely into it.
No, you're absolutely right. I remember doing a football game in Melrose a couple years ago, and they were into it then as well. I think we're going to do the 1A girls bracket, and we're going to get that up. Our producers, Josh Brown, Jason Pohl, they're doing a great job in the studio. Without them, there's no shows. We all know that. Those guys, and along with Alden Iwani and yourself too, Aaron Rivera, when you're producing, you guys do an amazing job. We're going to take a look at the 1A brackets here. And there it is, gentlemen. The number 1 seed is Animas. Chad Patterson, what do you got?
The Panthers, far southwest New Mexico, one of the few places I've never been. It was actually on my list of places to visit before COVID hit. So this summer, I'm coming to see you. Animas Panthers 19-2 on the season. They share a district with Cliff, who's also very strong, and the number 9 seed Reserve. They've gone 3-0 against Reserve, so they're beating a 9 seed by 18 points a game, a good team. The only one of their 2 losses was to 3A Socorro by just 1 point, and Socorro is a good 3A school. So Animas the team to beat in 1A, obviously.
You mentioned the loss to Socorro was 49-48, a very close loss there. So something to mention. They'll play Springer at 12-12, and then let's go down the other bracket there. On the other side, it'll be Logan taking on Evangel Christian.
So Logan was the number 1 seed on unofficially on Max Preps, of course, but they were the number 1 ranked team until they lost to perennial contender Melrose in the district tournament. That district, you got Logan, Fort Sumner, and Melrose together. They play each other at least twice. Some of these teams have already played each other 5 times this year. If you add all the EPAC tournaments and the Melrose tournament and the Fort Sumner tournament, they see each other a lot. So it's like an NBA championship or an NBA series where you've played each other 3, 4, 5 times. You know what's coming and you have a chance to prepare. So Logan has just played a killer schedule for a 1A school.
Well, and you see that on that side of the bracket, so they're going to have to play against Maxwell again in Fort Sumner. Plus, they have the defending state champions, Roy Mascaro, up there. And, Coach Clavel's daughter graduated out last year, and still he's able to bring out a just very strong team for the Roy Mascaro squad. I mean, they went 10-1 in district. Mm-hmm. That's just obscene. I mean, and on top of that, only on the season, they only had 5 losses and a really strong side of that bracket. But, I mean, you can't say on the other side that, when you look at Melrose and Animas, too, I don't know who could really pull out from either side.
Oh, it could be anybody. And that's why we play the game, and that's why you have to come up because and we see the same thing when we talk to the coaches about heading into the playoffs for football. They said, well, we want a higher seed, but in the end, you just got to show up and play, right?
You mentioned that, and then we've also got the number 2 seed, Fort Sumner, and they come in with a record of 17-4 and 7-1 in district. They'll take on the number 15 seed, Jemez Valley. Chad.
Now, Fort Sumner, the Vixens expect to win. That's a team where Grandma was a state champ, and they expect to win. They start junior high with expectations. When they are seniors, they are going to play in the championship game. That's the expectation for Fort Sumner girls basketball. However, Jemez Valley, you may look on paper and say 5-11. How good can that team possibly be? Well, Jemez Valley, they're kind of like some other small towns, like where I grew up. Where there's not much else to do in the winter but play basketball, and they're 5-11 because they went 0-10 on forfeits in games they didn't play because of COVID. So since then, they're 5-1, and they beat a really good Evangel team here in Albuquerque to win the district championship. So do not take Jemez Valley lightly, Fort Sumner fans.
Chad, I want to ask you about this because I think I noticed when I did a lot of prep work, there's a lot of games against non-varsity opponents that teams had to play. So that's a huge thing there, the forfeits there for Jemez Valley. Mm-hmm. But when they had their full team, you mentioned,
5-1, and Evangel was 19-9. Evangel, a small private school here in town. For those of you watching in the country, I used to teach there back in 01, and they were 19-9. Their girls team was 19-9. They're not bad. And Jemez Valley just came out and said, "Okay, let's play now. Everybody's healthy. We're ready to go. We're ready to travel." 5-1, and really kind of a smart move on the part of Jemez Valley. Hey, let's hang out until everything blows over. Let's play district because that's really what we got to win, right? Let's play district, win the district tournament. Hey, we're in the tournament. Let's play.
Peaking towards the end of the year.
Absolutely.
And that's always something I look at as well. And we've also got the number 4 seed Melrose. They'll take on the number 12 seed Alamo Navajo. Aaron.
Yeah, well, Melrose, obviously, they won the state championship a couple of years ago. They were the runner-ups last year to the Roy Mascaro combined school. So Melrose, I mean, that's like Chad was talking about earlier, where you've got the older brother and the younger sister, Melrose. They just continue to bring, kids up through the pipeline. You have somebody like, if I remember right, Kiki Roybal a few years ago graduating, and now her family's moving up through the line, and Melrose is always so strong.
In boys basketball as well. We'll get to the boys bracket in a little while because they've had some great success with the boys program. Now, we've also got the number 5 seed Gateway, and they'll take on the number 9 seed Reserve. Chad.
Gateway coming out of Roswell, they had a great season this year, 17-2, a big win over 2A Capitan non-conference. But Gateway, another example. So some of the districts are loaded, and it's really just the luck of the draw. Like the Fort Sumner, Logan, Melrose district, they play each other twice in district plus non-conference. Gateway, not a lot of really high level competition in their district. Interestingly, because 9-time New Mexico State champ Elida, no girls basketball this year.
Coach, talk a little bit about that, because you know what, Elida under J.D. Isler, that's the dad. I can't remember his
Jason
Isler. That he had some big success there. You know, the Elida won more than one.
9 times.
9 times.
Nine
And now
times.
not even a team. Talk just briefly about that.
So it happens that, I'm from Eunice, which is 2A now, and I finished my high school in Carrizozo, which is even smaller. If you're talking 1A schools, it's less than 100 students. So I challenge you to go over to Volcano Vista, take a random sample of 100 students. There's a 50-50 chance that you won't have a varsity basketball player. If that's what it means to have 100 students at your high school. So you have to take those and you have to make a basketball team. And sometimes, especially when a very popular coach leaves and they don't have a popular coach to replace them or anybody to replace them, the girls just don't want to play, or they're doing something else, or they find something else to do. So I coached teams that barely had enough players to play when I was at the 2A level down in Mountain Air a few years ago.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's huge news, because Elida, as we mentioned, under Coach Isler, had a lot of success down there. We're going to move on to the brackets here. We got the number 8 seed, Tahajli. They'll take on the number 16 seed. We already go through that.
No, it's
Springer.
Springer.
yeah.
Wait, Tahajli gets reserved.
16, I'm
8
sorry.
versus 9.
Yeah, Animus takes on number 1 Animus will take on the number 16 seed, Springer.
Well, Springer is, I was talking a little bit with Sebastian beforehand, and that's just, a location that they're always so good at sports, in Springer, and on the season so far for them, only going about half and half, so I'm sure they're glad to be in there, because, one of the advantages that we had this year, since we had the full playthrough, is none of the teams got in by winning a district that nobody really played in, so we're back to how it always is, where you have everybody that's coming in has at least pretty much a 50-50 record at least. And, Springer plays in that tough 5th district with Roy Mascaro and Maxwell, and it's going to make life difficult for you. You have to play 10 games in that district against 2 teams that, as we see, are the 6 and 7 seed on there, so...
We've also got Chad, the 6th seed. We got to move along. Roy Mascaro versus the number 14 seed, Evangel Christian.
As Adrian mentioned, Roy Mascaro, they're the defending state champs. Fun team to watch. 22-5 on the season. 8 kids, no seniors for Roy Mascaro for the defending champs. 22-5. They're the number 7 seed. They got a 41-30 win in the district championships. 3-2 against Maxwell. 0-2 against Logan in 1A. So the Logan Longhorns on the other side of the second round if they win. But Roy Mascaro has to get past Cliff, and Cliff, another small school that's used to winning.
7 seed Maxwell versus 11 seed Cliff, Aaron.
Yeah, well, as he mentioned, they're used to winning. They only had 9 losses on the season. Pretty much going 60%, and they're playing in the same district as Animus, so it's the same situation where they play against such strong teams all throughout. So when you look at their record and say, oh, only 15-9, well, they went 5-3 in the district, and obviously Animus going 8-0 in the district means somebody's got to lose those games.
Quick winner but we're going to go down and we're going to move on to the Class A boys. But a winner out of this bracket, Animus is the number 1 seed. Any predictions in this bracket? Who's going to come out of it?
Animus has to be the favorite, but I'm going to go out on a limb here, and because I'm a sappy old fool. Magdalena Steers, 20-7 on the season, and Magdalena, you lost your coach in December, and you've fought on and you won 20 games, and you're in the state championship. So they lost Coach Marlene Greenwood in a car accident on December 4th. I know that she's in your heart. She's in our heart. In fact, my brother, superintendent, who will remain nameless, was at that tournament, and he talked about there was a crash. So our hearts are with you. Magdalena, they're not bad. They beat 3A Crown Point, who won 20 games in 3A for the consolation at their own tournament, and they've beaten reserve in the regular season, and they're on a 12-game win streak. So I'm going with the Steers.
Aaron.
I really can't go away from Animus. It's the same thing as we talked about earlier with Volcano Vista, where Animus has played pretty much double scoring on almost everybody that they've played against throughout the season. So it's hard to look at a team that's just played so well during the regular season and say, oh, yeah, they're going to get knocked out somewhere. But, that's the fun of the tournament, right? We always get upsets every time. So
No, that's right.
Maybe they'll go out, but I've got to go with Animus.
And again, they've got the target on their back. Any 1 seed has the target on their back. I think I'm going to go with Animus as well. We're going to head to the boys bracket, on 1A boys bracket, and number 1 seed Magdalena versus number 16 seed Rama.
Well, obviously Magdalena, they're the defending state champions, and for good reason. Obviously, Coach Miraball's just got, I mean, that whole team, including his son, have just been so strong all season long. I mean, you look at their points for versus points against, 2,000 points this season. That's insane.
That's crazy.
2,000 points.
His son Jordan has a lot to do with that.
26 points per game, 44% from three-point range for Jordan Mirabal.
Yeah, but Rama also, they're in the first district, and they went undefeated in their district. So, yeah, they're stuck down there at the 16th spot, and it is what it is because nobody else in their district is really up top. But, I mean, when you go undefeated in your district, you look at Rama and you say, maybe they can make a run here. Obviously, it's going to be a little difficult for them because they're going to have to go through the toughest path, but
We'll see what happens there. Again, Magdalena, Jordan Mirabal, Joey Mirabal, they've had success the last couple of years. Let's move along. Number 8 seed Legacy will take on the number 9 seed Dora.
So Legacy Academy, right here in Albuquerque, and they were in the same district with Evangel Christian Academy. They're the Silverbacks, 19-7 on the season, 11-1 in their district. They lost to Magdalena, 78-26, but everybody loses to Magdalena. But they beat Fort Sumner for third place in Fort Sumner's shootout back in December. So Legacy Academy, a team to certainly deal with. And Dora on the other side, they'll be exploring their offense. Dora from Eastern New Mexico, 16-9, 6'4" senior Stephen Massini is their big post player. 2-3 against Elida, who does have a boys team. They won their district championship 61-53, and they beat 2A Texaco for third place in the EPAC tournament back earlier this year, and that was a big win for Dora. So they're no slouch.
Great breakdown there. Okay, we've also got the number 5 seed Clovis Christian will take on the number 12 seed Evangel Christian.
So Evangel from right here in Albuquerque, again, fantastic record, 21-6 on the season, but they lost their district tournament. They beat Legacy Academy in overtime. That's probably their signature win for the season. And so if Evangel's up against Clovis Christian from home of Steve Davis on New Mexico's Eastern Plains, they were 19-8 on the season. They're in the same district with Fort Sumner and Melrose, won 2 out of 3 against Fort Sumner, not bad at all, including a 75-59 home victory over Fort Sumner. They're the number 6 team on the rankings, on the computer rankings, and the 5 seed. And really, in 1A, if you're like top 9, you have a chance if you can beat Magdalena, because nobody's been close in 1A this year.
Okay, so, we've got the number 4 seed, and we're trying to, speed things along. So we've got other brackets to look at. We sure appreciate your guys' breakdown. You guys did extensive work on this. The number 4 seed, Roy Mascaro, will take on the number 13 seed Cliff.
yeah, another one where Roy, they don't have a ton of kids in there, but they've had a strong season all throughout. I mean, another team that in their district, they just couldn't be brought down. They've got a lot of good teams in that district, like Springer, who's up there as the number 10 seed. But yeah, they're going to probably have a good run through it. And Cliff, I mean, they've had a tough road to get here, but
12-time state champs. This is considered a down season for Cliff. Another school that doesn't play football. So basketball and rodeo is pretty much what it's about in Cliff, and a fantastic feed zone in the Tour of the Gila every April. I'll be there.
Coach Schock back there, and Brian Schock, Pete, the son of the legendary Pete Schock. We've also got the number 3 seed Mesilla Valley will take on the 14 seed Coronado.
So Mesilla Valley down in Las Cruces, and so I actually looked this up, Ed. So Mesilla Valley to Mascaro in their district is 251 miles, the second longest trip that you have to make in a district in New Mexico. That's the equivalent of driving from Albuquerque to Pueblo, Colorado, and that's a district game for Mesilla Valley. But they've always been a force in basketball. And I can tell you why in just a moment, as soon as I find that page. But they're 21 on the season, only 1 loss. Their captains are Carlo Velarde and James Benjamin. Their only loss was to Elida at Elida's tournament earlier this year. So the Sunblazers, a contender this year in 1A. Coronado from up in northern New Mexico. And they were 16-11 on the season. Won 2 out of 3, and they got a big win over Evangel in their district tournament. That was back on the 25th, just 2 days ago.
Should be a good matchup there. Also, the number 6 seed Fort Sumner will take on the number 11 seed Reserve. Aaron.
yeah, so Fort Sumner, they're number 6 there because Clovis Christian is the number 5 seed. And Clovis Christian, while they had a pretty good record, they won the district. They went 9-1 in the district, even though they had more losses than Fort Sumner. So I don't expect that. I mean, yeah, they sit in the 6th spot, but Fort Sumner should still be pretty strong throughout.
10 seed Springer will take on Melrose, the number 7 seed, and I'll tell you what, Chad, we mentioned the success that Kevin Lackey's had at Melrose. They've graduated a lot of players, but go ahead on that one. That Melrose, man, they've got some good players. They really
Absolutely.
do. Yeah.
Springer 15-8 on the season, no slouches. They're in the same district with Cimarron and Roy. But Melrose, the Buffaloes, 18-8 on the season and strong at the right time of the year. 8-3 in their district. They beat 3A Socorro, a good 3A team, to win the Alice King tournament in Moriarty back in December. So they're not bad at all.
And, you know, having lost last year being the runner-ups, and, I mean, they've been in 5 of the last 6 state championship games. They've gone 3-2. Yeah, Melrose in that. So, I mean, I don't expect that they want to get knocked out in the first round. And Springer's got a lot of good guys. I've seen them both on their football and basketball side. They've got a lot of physicality. But Melrose, I mean, you come up as just short last year after winning it the year before that. And Coach King, I'm sure, wants to take those, or pardon me, wrong side. Wrong Melrose. Coach Lackey wants to go back and win the state championship like he did in 2020, not end up the way he did in 2021.
It's going to be tough, but one more matchup. Number 15 seed, Cimarron, which has Eloy Brazil, the legendary Hall of Fame coach, will take on the number 2 seed, Elida.
Now, talk about a team that's peaking at the right time. Cimarron, 13-13 on the season, just 500, but they won their district championship. They've lost to Fort Sumner, Clayton, and Penobsco regular season, 0-2 against Roy, but they won the district championship 63-58, and they punched their ticket to the big dance.
I love it. Okay, gentlemen, real quick, do we have Magdalena is going to be tough, 27-1, right? Going to be tough to beat out of this class. I'm going to go out on a limb again and pick the number 1 seed, Magdalena. I've got them in that class. Chad.
Well, I like to be contrarian and pick somebody else, but so Magdalena, their only loss was to number 1 and 2A Tularosa in a close game. These are just the excellent teams in 1A. They beat Legacy Academy by 50. They beat 2A Jowl by 38, number 17 in 2A. They beat Fort Sumner by 19, and they beat 4A Grants by 17 points. And Jordan Maribal puts up 26 points a game. So it's hard to go against Magdalena, but, hey, that's why we have the game. So David, go out there and take on Goliath.
Yeah, it's going to take that. Go ahead, Aaron, your pick.
Yeah, well, before they lost to Tularosa, the last time they lost a game was in the 2020 state championship for 2A against Pecos. So, I mean, Magdalena, they just don't lose, and I don't expect them to in the tournament.
Yeah, you know what? I think that'll be Magdalena as well. That's the 1A bracket. We'll come back after these messages and take a look at the 2A boys and girls after these messages on ProView Networks.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
A burglary takes place in the United States approximately every 15 seconds. International Protective Service is your answer for commercial and residential security in all of Albuquerque. IPS will work with your monitoring company for fast, reliable response times. You can rest easy knowing you, your family, or your company is watched over by International Protective Service. Call International Protective Service today.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number 1 in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
The energy landscape is limitless and ever-changing. Cleaner energy resources are crucial to New Mexico's environment. For 100 years, PNM has utilized cutting-edge technology and employed hard-working New Mexicans to ensure that we have consistent, reliable energy when we need it. For life's loudest moments, quietest moments, and every moment in between. We're dedicated to providing you with energy now and into the future. All you have to do is dream of what to do with it next.
High school sports are back. You can watch every ProView Network broadcast online on the NFHS network. Every moment from every game from every sport, including all NMAA state championship games. Get your monthly pass now Just go to ProViewNetworks.com, click on the NFHS logo, and sign up today. Watch New Mexico's best. We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Buffalo Wild Wings. Great food, great fun. Visit them off Montgomery in Wyoming, or make a to-go order by calling 505-275-9464. Everguard Roofing and Solar. For nearly 20 years, Everguard Roofing and Solar has been working with New Mexicans to enhance their homes and businesses. For all your roofing and solar needs in New Mexico, call 505-821-9543. Holiday Inn Hotel and Suites Albuquerque, North I-25, offers recreational opportunities including an indoor pool, a spa tub, and 24-hour fitness center. Call 505-944-2222.
For 50 years, Clark's Pet Emporium has been your pet's favorite stop. Fish, birds, cats, dogs, reptiles, and small animals. Clark's has built a tradition of friendly, knowledgeable service focused on affordable, quality pet care products and food. Locally owned and operated with 2 convenient locations for all your pet needs, including an extensive selection of gifts for both owners and pets. 11200 Manal Northeast or 4914 Lomas Northeast. Clark's Pet Emporium is celebrating 50 years. Thank you, Albuquerque, the pet supply superstore. ClarksPets.com.
Welcome back to ProView's 2022 New Mexico High School Basketball Bracket Breakdown Show, live from the newly remodeled Public Access Studio, 519 Albuquerque and downtown Albuquerque. I'm Ed Nunez along with Chad Patterson and Aaron Rivera. And gentlemen, again, thanks so much for joining us. Chad and Aaron, great work on the 1A bracket. And we've got some more work to do here, and we shall get to it right away. 2A girls bracket, and we're going to go over the bracket and see if there's any matchups in the number 1 seed. Escalante, 19-4, 9-1 on the season under Stanford Salazar. They'll take on the 16 seed Cuesta. Chad.
So Escalante in the same district with Penasco, so they've already seen them twice. Big win over 3A Thoreau, and again, a good 3A team in Thoreau back in December. That's why they're the number 1 seed, 20-4 on the season, and looking forward to some Lobos victories in Albuquerque this March.
I got it. The same thing with the Dora Explorer. I got it, babe. All right. Great transition there. Go ahead, Aaron.
Oh, I was just going to look a little further down the bracket. I'm looking at the Manal Tatum, and Manal, they're a team that, they had a ton of wins on the season, 17-5, but they drop all the way down to the number 8 seed, and maybe it's just because that second district's not quite as strong that they got that, but I'm a little surprised to see them get such a far down seed, but Tatum will probably play them pretty tough. Tatum's stuck in that 4th district with Chad's alma mater, Eunice. So
that's right.
There's a lot of good teams in District 4 that they have to play against. So for Tatum, they also play against Loving, I believe. That'll be a tough one for Manal, but that's going to be up here in Albuquerque, so maybe there might be a little bit of travel advantage for that first game.
Travel's always a thing, too. That's key. Las Cruces coach Willie Benjamin always tells me about the traveling. That it takes a toll on a team. It does. Sometimes it's not easy. Number 2 seed Clayton against the number 15 seed Dulce. Clayton 18-5 and 6-0 under Clyde Sanchez. 10 wins in a row. 10 wins in a row. And I'm always looking at teams that peak. Chad.
10 wins in a row, and they do have Santa Rosa in their district, and Santa Rosa is another excellent team. 12-time state champions are Clayton, but it's been 1994, the days of Miles Waters, before he moved to Clovis.
Yeah, what a great coach he was.
They beat Melrose to win the Melrose tournament back in December. Clayton 18-5, so getting out of just the northeast corner, and they've also played some Oklahoma teams, so that supports that number 2 seed.
Dulce 10-12 and 4-2 and under Alyssa Varero. Go ahead on that one, Aaron. If you want to weigh in.
What they do very good is they score a lot, but they're sitting in this one. Their defense hasn't been quite as strong this season as they'd hope, and so for Clayton's another team that plays very good defense. So I think for that game, it's going to be a question of can Clayton shut Dulce down, and I think throughout the year they've been pretty good at that. So it should be an interesting matchup, but it's definitely going to be more of a defensive knockaround.
Which is always entertaining, too. People love to, defense wins games, especially at the state tournament. Number 3 seed, Eunice, 18-5 and 8-0 in district under Gary Frazier. Some good wins, lost to Lovington, beat Tatum twice. 11 wins in a row to end the season. I'm always looking at teams that are peaking 11 wins in a row to end the season there. What do you guys have on
The
that?
Eunice
matchup?
basketball Cardinals and Gary Frazier, maybe better known as a state championship baseball coach, but even in Eunice, you got to do something in the winter. And even though the boys are probably looking forward to baseball season, but the girls, they play some ball down there, and they have been fantastic this season. 18-5, like as you mentioned, beating Tatum twice, and they also beat Melrose. And the reason I mentioned the 1A schools is that the Melrose, Logan, and Tatum, you could take those basketball teams and put them in 3A, and they would be just as good. From 1 to 3A, the schools that are good on the girls' side are all about even. So beating Melrose, whether you're 1, 2, 3, anybody, that's a big win for you, a big non-conference win for Eunice to support that number 3 seed.
Capitan comes in 17-8, 5-3 under Jason Lee. The last loss was on 2/24 to Mescalero Apache, so they played well to end the season too, Aaron.
Actually, I wanted to go back just real quick about Eunice Pecos, because Pecos are the defending state champions. So they did lose the big 3-shooter Trinity Herrera that led them there. But I mean, that team, even though they're a younger team as a result, they have had state championship experience. I mean, they played through in the year with, the most stress and problems that you can have that COVID year. So, I know Eunice is very strong, but Pecos, keep an eye out because we always get some kind of upset. But yeah, on the Penasco side with Panthers out in that 5th district, obviously they have to play against Escalante a lot. But for the Panthers on the season, I mean, they played pretty good. I think they probably could win that one over Capitan.
It's going to be close. Capitan 17-8. And I mentioned earlier the Las Cruces to Clamato drive. Well, Capitan to Lordsburg is 252 miles, the longest district commute. So you got to drive that both ways on a school night to play a district game if you're in Capitan or Lordsburg. But 17-8 on the season, and they also share a district with Mescalero Apache Chiefs, who are 20-7 and a contender for the state championship as well. So that should be an excellent game between Capitan and Penasco.
We're going to go over 2A boys here in just a second. And guys, again, Escalante, the number 1 seed here, and rightfully so. We mentioned 19-4 and 9-1 on the season. Gentlemen, do you have a pick in this bracket here? As who do you think will advance and win the championship?
Well, Ed, if I pick anyone other than the Eunice basketball Cardinals, I might not be able to stop by the local place to get the fish buffet in Eunice next time I'm in town. So I got to go with the Eunice basketball Cardinals at 18-5 on the season.
They're the 3rd seed there, and they've had, again, you mentioned 18-5 and 8-0. They've got 11 wins, as we mentioned, 11 wins in a row. I'm always looking at teams that are peaking and trending towards the end of the year. Aaron, what do you have in this girls 2A bracket as the champion?
I don't know. There's a couple of really battle-tested teams in there, like Lordsburg and Rehoboth Christian, that, we didn't really touch on them, but I wouldn't be surprised if Rehoboth came in and, made it one upset after another and got themselves into the championship.
Okay, good point on Rehoboth. Okay, 18-8 and 4-2. They started the season with 4 straight losses, and they really played well. 11 of their last 13. So let's go to the. So you've got you said maybe Rehoboth might come into that, and Chad, you're not a homer at all. You did pick Eunice. Let's go to the 2A boys bracket now, and the number 1 seed is Tularosa, and they'll take on the 16 seed Mescalero Apache. Chad.
Well, just being the only team in the state to beat Magdalena is almost enough to be a 1 seed, but Tularosa has been excellent on the season. From southern New Mexico at the foot of the Sacramento Mountains, always good, and they're 24-2 on the season. So that should be a very exciting game. Looking forward to seeing them play in the big time. And of course, Mescalero right up the hill from them in Lincoln County.
Chad, Aaron.
I don't have any. Well, for Tularosa, I don't think it's a big surprise that they're the number 1 seed. I mean, they not only did they beat the number 1 seed in single A boys, and like Chad was talking about, in those 1 to 3A levels, I mean, the good teams are really good, and obviously Magdalena's a strong team every year. So Tularosa looks like a pretty strong team, and that's why they got the number 1 seed.
I've got some good information from Pecos' parent, and he thought Tularosa was pretty good too, and he really he talked them up a lot. Let's go to the 2nd seed. Pecos Panthers taking on the number 15 seed Penasco. Panthers versus Panthers there, I believe. Pecos 20-6 and 6-0. And again, under Arthur Gonzalez, they've played really well. 11-game win streak to end the season. Chad.
Pickles, obviously, always a great team to watch, and as we mentioned earlier, they bring the great fan base. But so does Penasco on the high road to Taos, one of the most beautiful spots in New Mexico. It looks like Middle Earth in the spring if you've never been there. But they play some basketball. So like all the other small towns, there's nothing else to do in the winter. Let's go play some ball, right? Get down to the gym, and it's going to be a very exciting matchup between those two teams.
Penasco 16-12, 5-5 under Brandon Goudelet. They lost to Pecos earlier. They beat West Las Vegas. They beat Santa Rosa. So that Panther on Panther, I've got to go with. I think Pecos again. We mentioned playing very well. 11 out of their last 13.
I think they've got a 13-game win streak, didn't they?
Maybe I was wrong about that, but they're playing well towards the end of the year for sure. Let's move on. Number 3rd seed Rehoboth will take on the defending champ in that class. Will take on the 13th seed Santa Rosa. Chad.
Rehoboth, another team, came on strong towards the end of the season. They weren't bad early on, but they just came on strong, won their district championship, and won a lot of big games. They share a district with Dulce, who's not bad at all. They're the 12th seed. So they have had some competition in district play, and they're going to be looking forward to the McCurdy game.
Kevin's Wires, 20-3 and 6-0. They lost to Tularosa, win against Navajo Prep, Navajo Pine twice, Laguna Acoma, and Dulce twice. So we mentioned they lost some key players from that team, for sure, but they've been playing some great basketball down the stretch, which is we always look for. The 4th seed Escalante will take on the 12th seed Dulce. Chad.
Favorable seeding for Escalante, 21-5 on the season, and they share that district with Penasco and McCurdy, who's the team that is playing Rehoboth as well. So they played very well in northern New Mexico, 21-5 on the season, and again, looking for a Lobos victory in Albuquerque.
Lobos in Albuquerque. Escalante, they came at 20-5, 10-0, coached by Isaac Royston. Beat Dulce twice. Pecos, they also lost to Pecos. 2 wins against Mora, 2 wins against McCurdy. Santiago Rios, I don't know if I can, Rivas, averages 23.5 points per game. So they've also got one of their, Duda Torres, 10 rebounds per game. And I got some real good information also from Cottonwood Classic head coach Santiago Maestas, who really talked about those two as a duo, and they've played very well, and Escalante has played well. Out of this bracket here, gentlemen, again, the number 1 seed, Tularosa, which they earned at 23-2 and 8-0, and they've, under Sergio Cashman, Sergio Cashman, 2 wins over Lordsburg, lost to Silver, and we'll get into Silver later. 2 wins against Santa Rosa, win against Hot Springs. Travis Henderson at 18.9 points per game. Colin Gillen pulls down 11.1 rebounds per game. Israel Ortega's at 6 assists per game for the number 1 seed, Tularosa. Gentlemen, out of this class here, who do you got?
Well, if I'm going with the chalk, of course, we're going to go with the number 1 seed. But, I went down for a football state championship game, and my hometown units beat the Jowl Panthers. But those seniors got a chip on their shoulder. They're not bad. They're 17-5 on the season, coming out of a tough district with Hagerman. I'm going with the upset Jowl Panthers for the win in 2A.
I think that it'll be like single A for 2020. We're going to see Rehoboth beat both the women's and the boys' side of the bracket. So Rehoboth back-to-back state champions in 2A.
Wow, that's going down a little bit of limb. They lost some players. Mm-hmm. They were the defending champions, and they have played well. I just think there's some better teams, and I'm going to go with the number 1 seed. And I'll say Tularosa will come away with the championship in that class there. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back for the 3A boys and girls bracket after these messages on ProView Networks.
High school sports are back. You can watch every ProView Network broadcast online on the NFHS network. Every moment from every game from every sport, including all NMAA state championship games. Get your monthly pass now. Just go to ProViewNetworks.com, click on the NFHS logo, and sign up today. Watch New Mexico's best. We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Buffalo Wild Wings. Great food, great fun. Visit them off Montgomery in Wyoming, or make a to-go order by calling 505-275-9464. Everguard Roofing and Solar. For nearly 20 years, Everguard Roofing and Solar has been working with New Mexicans to enhance their homes and businesses. For all your roofing and solar needs in New Mexico, call 505-821-9464. 9543. Holiday Inn Hotel and Suites Albuquerque North I-25 offers recreational opportunities including an indoor pool, a spa tub, and 24-hour fitness center. Call 505-944-2222.
For 50 years, Clark's Pet Emporium has been your pet's favorite stop. Fish, birds, cats, dogs, reptiles, and small animals. Clark's has built a tradition of friendly, knowledgeable service focused on affordable, quality pet care products and food. Locally owned and operated with 2 convenient locations for all your pet needs, including an extensive selection of gifts for both owners and pets. 11200 Manal Northeast or 4914 Lomas Northeast. Clark's Pet Emporium is celebrating 50 years. Thank you, Albuquerque, the pet supply superstore. ClarksPets.com.
Hi, New Mexico. My name is Joe Morales. I'm with Fiesta Mitsubishi at the corner of Lomas and Louisiana. Just want to take this opportunity to thank you for allowing us to be a proud supporter of New Mexico youth sports.
Fiesta Mitsubishi is a proud supporter of Pro V Sports.
The energy landscape is limitless and ever-changing. Cleaner energy resources are crucial to New Mexico's environment. For 100 years, PNM has utilized cutting-edge technology and employed hard-working New Mexicans to ensure that we have consistent, reliable energy when we need it. For life's loudest moments, quietest moments, and every moment in between. We're dedicated to providing you with energy now and into the future. All you have to do is dream of what to do with it next.
Hi, everybody. Richard Tripp. I'm the athletic director at West Las Vegas, the home of the Dons and the Lady Dons. And also, I guess you can say, occasional play-by-play for ProView Networks. Hey, guys, hope everything's going well. I'd like to wish everyone good luck in this year's state basketball tournament. Time to shine up those shoes. It's time to dance. Good luck, everybody. Go Dons. Go Lady Dons.
Welcome back to ProView's 2022 New Mexico High School Basketball Bracket Breakdown Show, live from the newly remodeled Public Access Studio, 519 Albuquerque in downtown Albuquerque. Ed Nunez along with Chad Patterson and Aaron Rivera. Gentlemen, thanks again so much. You put a lot of work and prep into this. I was prepping for 2 days on this, and a lot of fun because I found out about some teams I normally don't cover. Let's go to the 3A girls. I'm gonna read these matchups real quick. It'll be the number 1 seed, the Robertson Cardinals, taking on Raton. Number 8 seed, Theroux, taking on number 9 seed, Zuni. Number 5 seed, Crown Point, taking on the 12 seed, Tucumcari. Number 4 seed, Navajo Prep, will take on the 13-seeded St. Michael's Horsemen. The 3rd seed, Santa Fe Indian School, will take on the number 14 seed, Sandia Prep. The 6th seed, Socorro, will take on the 11th seed, West Las Vegas. Number 7 seed, Dexter, will take on the 10th seed, Hatch Valley. Number 15 seed, Cuba, will take on the 2nd seed, Tehachapi. No surprise at Robertson. And we'll go into that first. Chad, and the number 1 seed, Robertson, will take on Raton, and Las Vegas Robertson under Jose Medina, 24-1, 8-0, beat Hot into 4A. Santa Fe Indian 3 times, St. Mike's twice, St. Pius, West Las Vegas twice. Only loss was to Moriarty in 11 wins in a row after that. And there was only loss all season. So what do you got on that first matchup there?
Santa Fe Indians got one of the best teams in 3A, and Robertson beat them 3 times. They're the number 6 ranked team in New Mexico on Max Prep. That means they're ahead of 5A schools, good 5A schools like Organ Mountain, like Las Cruces, and like Carlsbad. These girls can ball. They're strong. They're confident, and they're ready going into the tournament. So Raton and the rest of 3A has their work cut out for them.
It'll be a tough matchup for Raton.
Yeah, and for Robertson too, getting those familiar faces like Raton, and if assuming that somebody like Navajo Prep or St. Mike's comes through from the bottom side of that, those are faces that they see all the time, and so they know how to play against those teams.
Yeah, it's a very good point there. Let's go to the 2nd seeded Tehachapi, 20-7 and 11-1 under Tanisha Betsoy. She's been there. She's got some experience. She knows what to do. They've beat Crown Point twice, lost district championship to Crown Point, won 11 of their last 13. They'll take on the 15 seeded Cuba Rams. Gentlemen.
It was Crown Point who came on strong in the district tournament. A good team, but Four Corners girls basketball is where it's at. It's like football in the southeast part of the state. Four Corners girls basketball, they play, and they play hard, and they play fast. And so you got to be great. Navajo Prep, the defending champs, coached by Rainey Crisp, and Crown Point took them down in the district tournament. So Crown Point's coming into the tournament to the state tournament with a lot of momentum. Tehachapi, another team that's doing really great this year, and we look forward to good things for them against Cuba.
Yeah, and Tohatchi was in the state championship just a couple of years ago, and they came up just a little short there, 10 points short from Navajo Prep. So I know Tohatchi's going to want to push through, and they've got the team right now to do it.
Third-seeded Santa Fe Indian School will take on the 13th seed St. Mike. Santa Fe Indian 18-6 and 6-2 under Patricia Chavez. Lost to Santa Fe, and they also wins against West Las Vegas twice and wins against St. Mike's twice. And so Santa Fe Indian at the third seed will take on St. Mike's, who's 10.
They have Sandia Prep, actually.
Yeah, my mistake there, read that wrong. They'll take on Sandia Prep. So what do you gentlemen think about that game?
Well, Santa Fe Indian School with a very strong, probably the toughest schedule in 3A girls basketball. Again, 3 of their losses were to the number 1 seed, Robertson. So not counting Robertson, they're 18-3. And they're always great, always a great team to play. They bring a great crowd down from Santa Fe every year to the tournament. And sometimes they're slow and methodical, sometimes they're fast, and they can pick up the pace and according to whatever coach thinks they need.
Aaron, do you have anything more to add on that?
No, I'm just kind of looking to see what the travel, because I'm thinking more and more now about how for the quarterfinals you do have to travel, and unlike your regular schedule where you kind of plan for it. But, I mean, throughout here, I'm looking at it, and all of these seem to be fairly close geographic matchups. Obviously, Santa Fe Indian, Sandia Prep, it's about an hour's drive at the most between them. Socorro, West Las Vegas might be the furthest.
Those are things that have to be factored in.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned Chad, and we cannot not mention Navajo Prep.
Right.
20-6, 10-2 under Rainey Crisp, who's a legend and legendary coach down there. Lost to Farmington at 5A, Hobbs at 5A, beat West Las Vegas, Santa Fe Indian, Crown Point twice, Zuni twice. Lost to Crown Point by 1. Also, they also lost to Crown Point. They'll take on St. Michael's, 10-18, 2-6 under Sonia Reyes, and wins against Capital, Sandia Prep, Albuquerque Academy. Losses to West Las Vegas, Santa Fe Indian, Robertson twice, Santa Fe and Hope. So what do you got there? Rainey Crisp, that name even speaks for itself. Legendary coach in the state of New Mexico.
It does. And we talk about class sometimes, and it has different meanings, compete with class and so on. But in my sport, cycling, class means a rider, an athlete who can win even when they're not at their best. And what that comes from is when you're used to winning. When you're used to winning, you walk in and you're like, maybe I'm not 100%, but I know I can find a way to win today. And Rainey Crisp in Navajo Prep believes that they can win every time they play. And that's a psychological advantage that you have if you're from a program like that where you're used to winning.
Well, it helps when you're going for the three-peat. I mean, not a lot of schools can say that they have the opportunity to go for a three-peat, let alone be in the tournament and be set up, I mean, in a pretty good spot to do so.
Right. I'll tell you what, coming out of this bracket, though, I don't know, again, the number 1 seed, and it's easy to pick the underdogs in any bracket. But Jose Magic Medina, Richard Tripp, my good friend from up north, that's his name. His nickname up there is Magic, and he's a heck of a coach. He really is. They've had some tournament success too. So I've got to go. Robertson only 1 loss all season long, and sometimes I think when you're the hunted, you get a little bit worried, because everyone's coming with their best. But I've got Robertson out of that bracket, Chad.
Well, I could go with Robertson, but I'm going to go with Santa Fe Indian School because they're 0-3 against Robertson. They played them 3 times, and they're going to do everything they can to figure them out. It's not like they were all blowouts. So sooner or later, the other team's going to figure you out. So can Robertson adjust to that? What is Santa Fe Indian School going to have up their sleeve if they meet again in the tournament?
Good point. And that we're going to see some great matchups there. Aaron, do you have a winner there?
I've got to go with the three-peat. I think Navajo Prep, I mean, I've seen them travel and just compete so well throughout the years, and I think Coach Chris will probably go back and get her 3rd state championship in a row.
And okay, so there's our picks there. Now we're going to move to boys 3A, and the number 1 seed is the Socorro Warriors, coached by former University of New Mexico Lobo J.J. Griego, also former Socorro star J.J. Griego, and it's fitting that he's coaching down there. They'll take on the 16-seeded Tucumcari Rattlers, 8-seeded coached by John Spann. 8-seeded Crown Point will take on 9-seeded Santa Fe Prep. 5th-seeded Navajo Prep will take on 12th-seed West Las Vegas. Number 4th seed St. Mike's will take on the 13-seeded Tehachapi. Number 3 seed Sandia Prep will take on the 14th seed Cottonwood. 6th seed Raton. 11th will take on the 11th seed Santa Fe Indian School. 7th seed Bosque versus the 10th seed Hot Springs. and the 15th-seeded Dexter Demons will take on the 2nd-seeded Robertson Cardinals. Let's go over the first seed, the Socorro Warriors. J.J. Griego, 19-5 and 6-0. Due to Jackson, 24.9 points per game. Also 8.6 rebounds per game due to Jackson. Wins against West Las Vegas, against Hot Springs twice, 2 wins against Cobre, 3 losses in a row, and then 9 wins in a row to end the season. So Socorro Warriors under J.J. Griego trending at the right time, Chad.
It's a 20-5. You can't discount that no matter who you're playing. And Socorro, a great team with a great tradition. It's just been a while since they've been in the championship game, and I know they're going to be looking forward to it this year. And I think coming in as the 1 seed, it's never an easy path, but it's not as hard as it has been in years past because you don't have to play that 4 or 5 seed until you get to round 3.
It's a tough matchup for Tucumcari and head coach John Spann, who's been out there a long time. And Coach Spann is a former Rattler star, played football, baseball, and basketball. Happened to go to college with him a couple years and just won a class act. I think he had the Rattlers in the championship a couple years ago. And so it's a tough matchup for the 16th-seeded Rattlers. Number seeded, 2 seed Las Vegas Robertson, they'll take on the 15 seed Dexter Demons. And Robertson by 18-6 and 9-1 by coached by James Branch, the former Taos coach, the former Espanola Valley coach, the former New Mexico Highland star. Coach Branch has been around. A lot of respect for Coach Branch. He's got a great guard out there in Matthew Gonzalez, who averages 25 points per game, 2.4 steals. The losses to Valencia, Socorro twice, beat Pecos, West Las Vegas, lost to St. Mike's twice, beat Santa Fe Indian twice, 8 wins in a row to end the season, Chad. I think, again, the Cardinals are peaking when they need to.
Absolutely, and a chance, as we mentioned in 2A with Rehoboth, and 3A, a good chance for Robertson to do the double of boys and girls. They got a shot at both winning the state championship in basketball this year, and wouldn't that be great for the city of Las Vegas?
Yeah, it really would be. I think out of that game there, I've got the it'd be a tough matchup there. I think the Cardinals should come out of that against Dexter.
Well, and Dexter just kind of snuck their way in, too, because they did not have a winning schedule or winning record on the regular season, only going 16-12, I think. But they still get in, and you know what the big part about this time of year is once you get in, that's all that matters. The regular season's out the door, and if you can just kind of put them together, obviously they're going to have to make, like I was talking about on the girls' side, the traveling, well, Dexter to Robertson, that is a bit of a drive because there's no straight shot directly from Dexter up there. But, you know, if Dexter can maybe play good on the road first and then get down to where they're playing a little bit closer to home, maybe they can go on a run.
You know what? Good point, and great points about the travel because that does affect it. The longer the haul, right? And people forget you got to get out of the car and play, and your legs are rubbery and the whole thing. The 3rd seed Sandia Prep played in the championship last year against Hot Springs, coached by Marcus Rivera, 13-11 and 8-0. They lost key losses last year. Some Henderson. They lost Sam Henderson, the guard. They lost him, but Mac Manzanares, District Player of the Year, has been playing very well. Losses to Belen and St. Pius twice. Win against Manal. Manal's, we has been playing very well. Beat Bosque twice. Lost to St. Mike's. Lost to Robertson. But I think Sandia Prep, they won the district championship, are peaking at the, as we mentioned, at the right time. Coach Rivera, I can speak from having experience. He used to be an assistant at St. Pius as well. One heck of a coach.
Sandia Prep always in it, and more than just a soccer school. They've got spirit, they've got pride. You know the rest, Sandia Prep. I look forward to seeing them play. Commonwealth Classical also up and coming. I remember just a few years ago they were a 1A school. It's a charter school here in Albuquerque. Fantastic academics, might I add. And the sports programs are coming up because I was playing them in 2A when I was coaching at Mount Sinai a few years ago. Great to see them not only at 3A but making the tournament and being competitive at that level.
You know, I'm looking around at the rest of the bracket here, and Navajo Prep last year, they had upset when I believe it was Nimi who beat them in the tournament, and it was, Navajo Prep was, the boys team was supposed to be one of the top ones, and so they've got the Dons right there, and we just saw Richard Tripp of West Las Vegas not too long ago, so Navajo Prep, they're just going to have to be very focused on not having their season end like it did last year, not having it end too early, so they're, obviously I picked their girls already, but for the boys, it's going to be important for them to stay focused and not get knocked out.
You know what? That's a good point because sometimes the losses over a season they're like hangovers, man. You kind of remember that, and you don't want it to end like that, and it's in your mind. Whether they say it's not or not, it is. I remember playing, coaching, and being part of that, and you didn't forget. Another key matchup I want to talk about here is the 7th seed Bosque. They'll take on the 10th seed, the defending champions, Hot Springs. And Coach Bean, a very good friend of mine, Coach Clifton David at Bosque, the 7th seed, coached by Clifton Davidson, 17-7 and 6-2. 2 losses to Sandia Prep, lost to Manal 2A, lost to Rehoboth, but a big win against Santa Rosa. Well, Hot Springs and Coach Bean had said this to me. They struggled a little bit down the last part of the season, 16-12 and 3-3. Lost to Silver. They lost two times to Silver, and we're going to talk about Silver because Silver has a great record. A lot of their record, in 4A was against Arizona schools, and so we'll talk about Silver. Lost to Crown Point, lost to West Las Vegas and Lordsburg, Socorro twice, beat Hatch Valley twice, and Cobra twice. So that matchup there is intriguing because Hot Springs is the defending champs. I'm a little interested in what you and again, Clifton Davidson does a great job at Bosque. What you gentlemen think about that matchup?
Looking forward to watching it. I haven't seen Bosque is one of the schools in Albuquerque that I haven't got to broadcast this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing them in the tournament. And of course, Hot Springs, the defending champs, down in Tier C to the rest of us. Won't be spending spring break at the Butte because they're going to be up here playing some basketball.
Great, great breakdown of this boys bracket here and the girls 3A and 4A. Do you have a winner? And I'm not going to go with the number 1 seed. I'm going to go with. Go with a little bit of an upset. I'm going to say Sandia Prep's going to come out of that, and we'll see. They've been playing some great basketball towards the end of the year, and Socorro is the number 1 seed, and they're playing well at the end of the year too. But I'm going to go with Sandia Prep. You gentlemen have your pick.
Well, I'm going to go with the team that started 0-10 on the season, the 1940 New Mexico State champ, St. Michael's Horsemen, who are now 13-14. They went 13-4 down the stretch. Who's beaten Robertson? St. Mike's. Who's beaten Raton? St. Mike's. Who's beaten Sandia Prep? St. Mike's. 13-14, they're the 4 seed, and just like we mentioned with Navajo Prep, you come from St. Mike's and you play basketball. You expect to win. So St. Mike's Horsemen, I'm watching you.
They're going to need some of that Mighty Midgets, some of that magic from back in the day.
That's a great reference, Aaron.
I think for me it's a toss-up between Socorro and Robertson. I mean, they're both the 1 and 2 seed, and they're there for a reason. So if I had to, maybe Socorro, but I think it's really going to come down to how they're playing in the tournament between the two.
I think when you get a player on a streak, and Robertson has the guard Matthew Gonzalez. James Branch was a former great guard himself. So Robertson is going to be tough to beat as well. Gentlemen, that's a great breakdown of the 3A boys and girls. We'll return back with Sebastian Noel, and we'll break down the 4A boys and 4A girls when we return after these messages on ProView Networks.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. ABQ Burrito, fast, fresh New Mexican. ABQ Burrito offers a large variety of burrito and taco fillings, in-house slow-cooked meats, and a great selection of cold beverages. Visit abqburrito.com and taste the tradition. Mo Justice. Mo Maestas is a big supporter of high school and college sports here in New Mexico and is your attorney for personal injury cases. Born and raised in Albuquerque, Mo has deep roots in our community. If your loved one is injured in an auto accident, contact or text Mo at 505-304-7497. Lobo Moving. Family owned and operated by local MBA graduates, Lobo Moving offers complete local and long-distance moving services around the state of New Mexico. Give them a call today at 505-803-9050 or visit them at lobomoving.com. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit hanswhitlerauto.com.
For certified collision and body repair, visit the experts at Car Crafters. 5 locations in Albuquerque and Rio Rancho. Visit carcrafters.com.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
I'm Terry Wilson, quarterback for your New Mexico Lobos. Growing up in Oklahoma City, my Boys and Girls Club was a safe place where I would go to play sports, practice important values like respect and integrity, and of course, always do my homework. Here in New Mexico, the Boys and Girls Club is having a huge impact on kids and teens every day after school. All you Lobo fans out there, support the Boys and Girls Club and help our young people learn and grow. Great futures start here.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks. Welcome back to ProView's 2022 New Mexico High School Basketball Bracket Breakdown Show, live from the newly remodeled Public Access Studio 519 Albuquerque in downtown Albuquerque. I'm Ed Nunez, along with, and joining us back on set, Sebastian Noel and Aaron Rivera. And gentlemen, we're going to break down the 4A girls. But first, watch parties. Let's go to some watch parties.
Those are the Dexter girls on the top. The
Demons.
Dexter Demons, yeah. Rio Rancho, take a look at this. If you look in the bottom corner there, it looks like Wally Salata fell asleep. Look at that.
Can we take a
right there? Look at that. The bottom corner. Look at that. Coach Solano, wake up.
He's just chill, man. Look at him. He's chill.
Well, it's probably because they know 5A is so late in the show, he figures he'll sneak in a little bit of sleeping.
Could be asleep, yeah.
Looks like a double.
Organ Mountain. Organ Mountain.
Hey,
a sharp-looking
Organ
locker
Mountain.
room, right? Yeah.
The Knights.
Got a lot of eyes on us around.
Hey,
the
there's
street.
Coach Bean's Hot Springs Tigers. And then who do we got there?
That
That's
looks like
Cliff.
Cliff.
Yeah, Cliff in the classroom, old school.
Oh,
there's
wait.
that Pecos picture.
I wanna
was
see
telling
the
you about.
spread
Look
we
at
were
that
talking.
spread. Look at that.
That's at Pecos, right?
Yeah, there's just pizzas everywhere. You think our friend Grady paid for some of that food? There's just food everywhere.
Grady Barron's
Whoa.
great guy. Great fan. Some more watch parties here for you on ProView Networks.
There's St. Pius, the girls. Coach Rhodey has a really...
Where's Coach Rhodey at? Is that
She's
in the
got
middle?
a really young team,
Yeah, she
Ed,
does,
but
yeah.
they've done a pretty nice job considering they're so young.
They've got some really good shooters on that team.
Mariah
too.
Mays, I believe, being one of them.
There's the Escalante Lobos, the Fighting Ed Manzanares right there, right?
Everyone's a Lobo, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so.
Woof, woof, woof.
More watch parties for you.
Oh, that's a video. We like that. We don't know where that is, but that's Mayamura, Patriots, right there. ATC, we see ATC boys. St. Pius boys. Look at that.
Let's go zoom in on that St. Pius. Do they have a poker table there?
I don't think so, Aaron. That's
Oh, it's a pool. I knew there was something fun going on right there.
yeah.
There's some more watch parties and great work by our producers, Jason Pohl, Josh Brown, Alden Iwani.
Pecos Panthers.
Volcano Vista girls, yeah, we saw that earlier. They're obviously just excited to get this tournament started. I think the regular season was a bit of a nuisance for them.
You know what? If you want to call it that, yeah, you know what? Maybe so, right? Right. I mean, yeah, and that's over with now. Now it's it's tournament time. So let's go over the 4A girls bracket, gentlemen. And the number 1 seed, Kirtland Central, will take on the 16-seeded Miyamura Patriots. 8 seed Valencia will take on the number 9 seed Hope. 5th seed Haddon will take on 12th seeded St. Pius. The 4th seed Portales will take on the 13th seed Los Alamos. 3rd seed Bernalillo will take on the 14th seed Silver. 6th seed Taos will take on the 11th seed Espanola Valley. 7th seed Moriarty will take on the 10th seed Goddard. And the 15th seed Chaparral will take on the 2nd seed Gallup. Let's go to the top seed Kirtland Central taking on the 16th seed Miyamura.
Yeah, I mean they got the top seed obviously by beating Gallup 3 out of 4 times. Once Bernalillo went away once they lost at the end of the season, they were no longer undefeated. I think that kind of eliminated Bernalillo's chance of getting a 1 seed. And then the way Kirtland Central has been able to handle Gallup this season got them that number 1 seed. That's a very, very good basketball team that Coach Manning has over there. They got a couple of really nice young guards in Klani and Begay. They're young too, and then they have some leadership with Aisha Ramon. That's a good basketball team. They're very deserving of that number 1 seed. I do really see an upset there in the 8-9. I know that's not much of an upset, but Hope Christian's been playing good basketball despite losing to Bernalillo. If they can just dump the ball inside, they have such an advantage in the post there against Valencia. But Gallup that's a really good basketball team under Coach McBroom. They're the defending champions, and they returned almost all of that roster.
Well,
and
they have some of my favorite players to watch in the
Right.
state, out of Joe and Long. I mean, they're volleyball stars, they're basketball stars, and they just play so well. I wouldn't be surprised if Gallup doesn't, make another run for it and at least make the championship.
A very high-scoring girls team, too. They average 65 points a game. And Coach McBroom challenged his girls. He said, hey, because Gallup's one of those places that has some tradition, right? Well, you want to be the best team in Gallup history? Be the first one to go back-to-back.
Todd McBroom, you mentioned that. Okay, so 23-4, finished 9-1 in District 1 4A. Beat Taos 68-49. Taos is the district champ of District 2 4A. Also beat Hobbs.
Yeah, they beat Hobbs.
They beat Hobbs.
That's huge.
Yeah, they are ranked number 1 in Max Prep Sport. They're not a district champion, and they lost to Kirtland Central 3 times. And some of this work was done by my son Nick, and that was one of his questions: how would they get seated? How would Gallup get seated? And I think we've got the answer.
Ed, they put a hundy on Bloomfield. That doesn't happen in girls basketball. Okay, 100-61. That does not happen in girls basketball. They hung a hundy on Bloomfield.
So they lost to Kirtland Central, beat Kirtland Central, lost to Kirtland Central in the regular season tiebreaker, and lost to Kirtland Central again for the district tournament championship. But I think, Sebastian, your points are well taken as far as Gallup.
And what kind of a crowd do you think we're going to see if Bernalillo and Gallup gets through on that side of the bracket? Bernalillo's the real deal. Juliana Aragon is amazing, isn't she?
You know what, Bernalillo? Let's go. Again, they were 25-1. Finished 8-1 in District 6 4A. Only loss was to Hope. You mentioned that, 58-55. And they beat Hope in the regular season, beat Hope in the district tournament. Juliana Aragon, you mentioned, 30.3 points per game. Assist, 8.2 assists. Aragon had 27 points and 7 assists in the district championship versus Hope. Other important wins against district champions, they beat Taos and they beat Socorro. Gentlemen, what do you got on Bernalillo?
Well, you look at Bernalillo's path through that side of the bracket. When they're playing silver, they'll have the best 2 players on the floor, right? In Juliana Aragon and Gabby O'Hara. They get through to the next round, whether they play Taos or Espanola, they'll have the best 2 players on the floor, Juliana Aragon, Gabby O'Hara. So they would get all the way to Gallup where that matchup tightens up a little bit, and you start saying, okay, maybe you got Aragon here as the top player, but then Gallup has these pieces here. So I think that's Bernalillo Gallup. Pencil that in on that side of the bracket.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good call on that, because I think, you look at it the same way coming up the side of Gallup. I've already mentioned,
right.
Joe and Long. It's the same situation. And then the question is who plays better, and that's going to be at the pit. So, they're going to have those lights shining down on them. It's going to be the big spotlight on those players. Obviously, Gallup played in it last year, but Bernalillo, they're not strangers to playing in those big games here during the state tournament. So
there'll be 10,000 people at the pit for that game. I guarantee it.
Yeah, you know what? You're not wrong, and they do travel well. Another interesting matchup to me, and these are 2 teams that never would have played each other, and all of a sudden they seem to be meeting every otthe week, and that's Highland and St. Pius. The 5th-seeded Hornets against the 12th-seeded St. Pius Sergeants. They've already played, I believe, three times this year. They play in the same district. Head coach Lonnie Neal at Highland, first in district. They're 8-0 in the district. In the district, won district tournament championship against Valencia, 54-50. Denise Ryan scored 1,000 points for her career at Highland, 17.5 points per game, 4.3 assists per game, and 2.2 steals per game. Elia Narvaez, 10.3 points per game. Coach Jackson, the district coach of the year in that district. Bria Rhodey at St. Pius, the former assistant to Alvin Broussard with the boys program there, has done a fantastic job with the young St. Pius team, Aaron. You covered a lot of St. Pius in basketball.
Yeah, and you mentioned it before, but Mays is so strong for them. They've got a lot of good players, also Marisol Valdez, and they can put together games, but they also can just kind of disappear sometimes. And so the question is, what team is going to show up in that game against Highland? Because Highland's had their number so far this season, but if St. Pius can come in and you let Alyssa Mays take control of that game and everybody around her works together with it, St. Pius can win most nights.
A tough matchup there and an interesting one, I think, as well. What do you got out of that matchup there, Sebastian, with Highland and St.
I like
Pius?
Highland in that first round there, though. I think St. Pius is too young. But then Highland runs into a huge road bump in Portales. Portales is battle-tested. They have some guards. They have some post presence. That is going to be a very interesting matchup. Just a word on Denise Ryan, probably one of Coach Neal's most coachable players ever. I remember just way back as a freshman when Coach Neal was starting to build that program, and there were nights when some of his other players were maybe not all bought in. She was bought in since day one as a freshman on that varsity team. I know that is one of Coach Lonnie Neal's most coachable players. What a fantastic career she's had there at Highland. But that Highland-Portales matchup, that's a toss-up right there.
Coach Neal's done a great job. And you mentioned Portales under head coach Wade Fraze, finished first in District 4A, 6-0 regular season district record, beat Goddard in the district tournament championship, 58-45. Didn't have a game in district that was within 10 points. You mentioned that, Sebastian, how good they are. They pretty much blew everyone out. They beat Kirtland Central on January 6th, 51-35.
I do like Kirtland Central coming out of this as the winner. I think Bernalillo and Gallup playing in the semifinal in front of more than 10,000 people, that will feel like the championship. There'll be such mental fatigue by the time they get forward to the championship against Kirtland Central. I think that's just enough of an edge for Kirtland Central to squeak that out.
Winners in the as far as the overall bracket, do you want to predict a winner in 4A girls?
Yeah, I have to agree with Sebastian. I mean, Gallup and Bernalillo, I mean, it's not like they're going to be able to pull any punches during that semifinal round. So they're going to be exhausted going the next day. And I know everybody likes to say, oh, these are young players and they'll just battle through. But that game's going to be an absolute slugfest. And I don't know if they're going to have enough left to take down Kirtland Central on the other side of it.
You know what? You bring up a great point, because the mental energy you're going to expend, it's going to be expended. You're right. What do you have left? And that's a good question. It's a legitimate one at that. Sebastian, did you come up with a winner?
I had Kirtland Central in that.
You had Kirtland Central. Yeah. I think I'm gonna with Kirtland Central again. They've had a fantastic season. I think it's hard to pick against them. I think Bernalillo's a dark horse. And we're going to take a look at. So I've got. I'm going to go with Kirtland Central in that bracket. Let's take a look.
Historically good team too.
Watch parties. We got watch parties.
Got some more watch parties. Let's take a look.
Oh, look at that.
Look at the spread. Look at that pizza.
Robertson.
We need to start putting in where these pizza places are.
That's Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah, that's in Las Vegas, New Mexico. We've been in that pizza joint, right? Right? Evangel. Okay, well, yeah, we've seen that one before. So yeah, that's a good. Look at that. Who do we got there?
Carlsbad.
Cavemen. All right, so we're getting closer to that 5A bracket. Tucumcari, the Rattlers.
That's a cool name.
Right, and there's the Ed Nunez Celebrity Lounge at Highland. All right, so we saw that one. Highland, that bracket's coming, Ed. Brace yourself. That bracket is next.
That's funny.
Here we go, 4A boys.
Okay, so gentlemen, we are on the 4A aforementioned 4A boys, and it's the number 1 seeded Highland Hornets against the 16 seeded Miyamura. The 8 seed Artesia Bulldogs will take on the 9th seeded Lovington Wildcats. The 5th seed Albuquerque Academy Chargers. We mentioned they've been playing so well against the 12th seed Goddard. 4th seed St. Pius Sartans will take on the 13th seed Valley Vikings. 3rd seed Espanola Valley will take on 14th seed Los Alamos. The 6th seed Silver will take on the defending champions, the 11th seed Del Norte Knights. 7th seed Berlin will take on the 10th seed Gallup Bengals. And the 15th seeded Hope Christian will take on the 2nd seed Taos Tigers. And let's first of all talk about. Go ahead, Aaron.
I was going to say, we've seen Taos and Hope Christian play already this year at the Hope Christian tournament that we see all three of us get the joy of seeing. And Taos came out.
Artesia just finished beating Lovington in their district tournament several times. That's unfortunate that they're matched up again.
Right. So, I mean, there's not a ton of, I think, surprises on how everybody's gotten seated here. St. Pius, I think, probably pretty happy sitting there with the 4 seed.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take a different route on that. I think the guy that's happy about that matchup is Easy Panas, because Valley can play one way and one way only, and that's slow, right? They like to play a pretty slow pace. Keep the game in the 40s, maybe in the 50s. Well, St. Pius is a team that loves to play in the half court at that same pace. I think Coach Panas is pretty happy with that. So, and then on the other side, I think Coach McIntosh is thrilled. Silver's has a good record, but they haven't played anybody.
They built their record and I looked at their record. It's 25.
And you can't find a team on their schedule that you can convince me is
right.
a superstar team.
A lot of them were from 8 wins against teams from Arizona, 2 losses to Holbrook, and 1 to Las Cruces. So you're right. If it's Duran McIntosh, the defending champs Del Norte, I think you're right. He's probably he wouldn't say that outwardly. He says, "Hey, Silver's a good team. We got to prepare for them." But the Knights have lost 4 or 5, as you mentioned, and maybe this is a matchup for them that they feel they can win at that first matchup. Any other games that the Hope Christian? We weren't sure, right? They're going to go against the second seed Taos Tigers, 21-6 and 7-1, and they've got some bookends in Eldon Torres at 6'7" and Damian Eli at 6'7", Eldon Torres at 6'5".
Yeah, I mean, bookends is a way to put it. I mean, I believe it's pronounced Ely is what they told me during the game. But I mean, you see them, and a lot of teams that have 2 really big guys won't have them in at the same time. A lot of times they'll kind of swap in and out, but they'll put both those guys in for great effect, and both of them can run up the court all day long. So for Taos, I mean, getting that 2 seed, well deserved, and I think they could pretty easily work their way up to the state championship game. I mean, the toughest thing for them is probably going to be on the other side of the bracket from them.
What about the Hope Christian Huskies? They get in at 15. We were at the game the other night when they played Del Norte, and Jet Wyckoff twisted an ankle. I'm not sure what his availability is, and the Huskies definitely need him.
Yeah, they do. They're not as deep as some of Coach Murphy's past teams. The other team that really jumps out at me is Academy. I don't think you can ignore how good the Chargers are playing right now. Dylan McCluskey went off in that first half on Saturday. Kellen Garris has been great all season. Justin Mask off the bench. And Will James.
I'm glad
that guy's going to be a broadcaster, right? I thought when you were doing an interview with him after the game, I thought he was going to take the microphone and your job that moment.
I was a little worried about it too.
He was that good, and they're rolling right now, and they're confident. I mean, they're at Gallup. They're down 9 with a minute to go. They win that game. That just doesn't happen on the road at Gallup. It never happens. Can't ignore how good the Chargers are playing. The chemistry's right. Everything's good.
Well, in the defensive planning that they have, I mean, in every game that I've watched, they seem to know how to adjust the game midway through, and I mean, play better as the game goes along.
They play well together, and they play hard as hell. I mean, they play hard. Whether that's against a team that likes to run or it's against a bigger team, you think, oh man, they might be outmanned. No. Then they bring in Rivera, they bring in Mason Hustlig, and then they have the size. Against a team that has guards, maybe Hustlig doesn't play that night and someone else plays. But it just seems like they're such a team.
8 wins in a row, again, including 2 against Del Norte at the end of the season. I think that's very impressive. Now, we've got to talk about the number 1 seed, the Highland Hornets. We have to talk about them. Gives me some pleasure to talk about the Highland Hornets.
Well, I think it's Highland's year, Ed. It's Highland's year.
It's been 50 years since the Highland Hornets won a state championship, beating Albuquerque High in 1972, 57-55. And both you gentlemen probably weren't born yet, but I was at that game. I remember that game very well. Under Justin Woody, 22-3, 8-0 in district, a 15-game winning streak. Last loss was to Rio Rancho on January 7th, 70-50. Close loss to Berlin, or close win against Berlin in overtime on January 21st. Beat St. Pius 3 times, Del Norte twice. 3 straight district championships for the Hornets. Now, we mentioned Sebastian, we mentioned size, we mentioned the bookends in Taos. You've got Jose Murillo. We know about Jose Murillo, right? He averages over 20 points a game, 11 rebounds. But I think the big thing for me is 76 blocks on the season. He had probably 5 more last night, according to my son who was at the game. Sebastian, when you have that size inside, it alters shots, it changes the defensive outlook. You can funnel people inside and have a rim protector. I think that changes a lot of things. And I think for me, at least, again, I'm a Highland guy, but I'll tell you the truth, I think Highland is the favorite in this class.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Ed. But I think what has made them so much more special down the stretch is how Alexis Dominguez has come into his own. He's become a dominant player.
Very good.
Where last year and even at the beginning of this year, you sometimes thought, hey, you know what? Highland's best approach is their guards just throwing up shots, and if they're not hitting them, Jose will clean up the boards. Well, that has morphed into their guards shoot it with confidence. And it starts with Dominguez, man. Yes. That kid can play. He guards the best player on the other team. He's got a little bit of moxie. He talks a little bit of stuff, which I like. Mm-hmm. And so they really have built the culture there. Coach Woody's done such a great job. And I think it's that time. It's their year. I think they've become more than just El Gigante and someone else. right? And so just everyone's confidence on the role on that team has grown, and a lot of that has to do with Coach Woody and that family mentality that he preaches.
I've been out to practice several times, and he does absolutely preach that. Not only is it about winning basketball, but it's about character. Picking people up off the floor, including opponents. When I played, I was going to pick anybody up. He made me think about a lot of different ways. You mentioned El Gigante, Gustavo Ayala del Toro, Brandon Medina, Raul Stanford. They've gotten good contributions from other Hornets. And I can't say enough about the coaching job. If you remember, Sebastian, 3 wins in Coach Woody's first season, the gym under construction. They're having to practice in the back, and they're seeing their breath. That's where they came from. But again, we mentioned things. The other team that intrigues me, I think Highland's the definite favorite. Other team that intrigues me is Espanola Valley.
Yeah, I was going to mention Espanola.
20-7 and 4-2 wins against St. Mike's, Capital 3 times, Bernalillo, Pecos. Losses to they beat Taos too. Losses to Cleveland, Rio Rancho, Hope Christian, Clovis, Los Alamos. They also lost to Taos. 8-2 their last 10. They're intriguing to me. They had a deep run last year.
I just like the way that team's put together. They have a really nice guard in Marino Rodriguez who can shoot the lights out. He can handle the point. And then they have size inside with Coriz and Malachi Jones. Obviously, they missed the ton out of Garrett May, but I really like the way that team is constructed. And they execute well in the half court. They're not your old school Espanola that has to run and gun. They can play in the half court. Coach, I talked to Gabe earlier today, and Coach Martinez has done a great job. Do not count out Espanola. The thing is, Del Norte has to go to Espanola, and Coach McIntosh has had a lot of success in Espanola.
You know what, the other thing you said about Coach McIntosh, who's definitely one of the best coaches in the state, regardless of class, always has the Knights peaking. It's unusual to see them kind of floundering
they're
at
the
the end of the year.
opposite of peaking right now.
But he did say that to me. He said the same thing to you about, if you think about it, Sebastian, losing Xavier Evans, Feathers Valencia, and Noah Garcia, size inside, has definitely hurt the Knights.
Yeah, it has. They're getting out-rebounded every night. They have no rim protection. But when you have the 2 best players on the floor, and Judah Casals and Shane Dumas-Sanchez, you need to find a way to win. There's no excuses. And so what's happening when the Knights play, those two, there's no margin for error. And so when they take some bad shots, it hurts them. You go back to the end of the Highland game. Shane takes a bad shot, Jose has a dunk on the other end. Judah goes for a steal at half court, and he misses. Dunk on the other end. So when they make mistakes right now, there's no protection at the rim. They're getting shredded on the backside.
That's a very good point. Aaron, do you want to weigh in on that?
I mean, I just think at this point, it's likely that Highland's going to be working their way through again because, like he's saying, they have like both of you said, they have so many just quality players all throughout the basket. And I mean, we've seen Del Norte, when people can just really focus in on those 2 as well. If they can take those 2 out of the game, there are still good players on Del Norte, but they just can't put up as many points if Dumas Sanchez isn't nailing it from all the way out here.
Quickly, gentlemen, I've got Highland. Highland's the winner and 4A boys. Sebastian.
Yeah, I'm going to take Highland as well in the championship.
I think his Knights broke their streak last year, and your Hornets break their streak this year.
We'll see what happens. We'll be back to the seating and selection show after these messages on ProView Networks.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Green Tree Inn, North I-25, a pet-friendly hotel in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Enjoy affordable room rates for sports families and fans. Call 505-828-1600. Here at Extreme Clean, we celebrate our 30th year in carpet cleaning, and we are confident in our ability to handle any situation or cleaning emergency that you may experience. Please don't hesitate to contact us with any questions or concerns. Living in dusty Albuquerque, one of the best ways to cut down and remove dirt and allergens in your home is to use our carpet cleaning services. Give them a call today at 505-796-0505 or visit extremecleannm.com.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
A burglary takes place in the United States approximately every 15 seconds. International Protective Service is your answer for commercial and residential security in all of Albuquerque. IPS will work with your monitoring company for fast, reliable response times. You can rest easy knowing you, your family, or your company is watched over by International Protective Service. Call International Protective Service today.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number one in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
High school sports are back. You can watch every ProView Network broadcast online on the NFHS network. Every moment from every game from every sport, including all NMAA state championship games. Get your monthly pass now. Just go to ProViewNetworks.com, click on the NFHS logo, and sign up today. Watch New Mexico's best.
Welcome back to ProView's 2022 New Mexico High School Basketball Bracket Breakdown Show live from the newly remodeled Public Access Studio, 519 Albuquerque and downtown Albuquerque. I'm Ed Nunez along Chad Patterson joining us back on the set, Sebastian Noel, Aaron Rivera. Gentlemen, we're going to go through the 5A girls bracket. Of course, no surprise, number 1 seed Volcano Vista taking on the 16 seed Santa Fe Demons. 8th seed Centennial will take on 9th seed Mayfield. 5th seed Las Cruces will take on the 12th seed Clovis Wildcats. 4th seed Farmington will take on the 13th seeded El Dorado Eagles. 3rd seed La Cueva will take on the 14th seed Sandia. They've seen each other a couple of times. 6th seed Oregon Mountain against the number 11 seed Albuquerque High. 7th seed Carlsbad will take on the 10th seed Cleveland, while the 15th seed Piedra Vista take on the 2nd seed Hobbs. We talked about this briefly, gentlemen. Anything that surprised you in the first round matchups there, Sebastian? You pretty much have said, and we've said, Volcano Vista, we feel like it's theirs to lose.
Yeah, although I do think this will be a volcano coronation. I think the first round matchup between Oregon Mountain and Albuquerque High gives us a chance to look at two of the best players in the state, and Leilani Love against Harmony Dominguez. If you haven't seen Harmony Dominguez play, she's worth the price of admission. So that, I'm going to check that one out.
Leilani Love, of course, the daughter of the former Highland High School great William Love, and that should be a great matchup. Anything that surprises you in the brackets that you're looking at right now in 5A, Chad?
No big surprises. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the teams that I haven't seen this year. I haven't had the chance to see Farmington. I haven't seen Hobbs. And Hobbs, they've lost a few games, but I was surprised to find out that the Hobbs Eagles girls play a national schedule. They've traveled extensively outside of New Mexico, so I'm looking forward to seeing the Eagles play.
Aaron?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Farmington El Dorado. It's another district matchup again, but the big thing is Farmington. One of the things their coach said to me when I had them versus El Dorado the first time was they really want to play Volcano Vista, and they will get the chance, and it's not going to be for the championship, right? It's not going to be in the championship. So Farmington, they've got some very, very good players at Farmington, but they're going to have to get through Volcano Vista if they want to get to the championship. And so, you look at it, they've got La Cueva and Hobbs are probably the ones coming out from the other side of the bracket, but, I don't know if anybody can beat Volcano.
Sandia's got a very...
It's not going to happen, boys.
It's not going to happen. Sandia's got a very young team, and I'll tell you what, Hope Giddings, Benali, they've got some Mariah Bays. They've got some very good players there. It's going to be tough again, see La Cueva. Marissa Kogan, I don't know that we've talked about what a great job she's done. They did lose to Farmington last night in the district championship, but Marissa Kogan, for her first year there, she's got Riley Ottman, Eva Love. I really like Eva Love a lot. I think they've got a great team, but I don't know that they can. Sebastian, it's like Sebastian, winner.
Stop it. It's not going to happen.
Let's go to some watch parties.
It's not going to happen. It's a volcano coronation.
Let's take a look at some watch parties, and then we'll.
Just one. I think.
We got one.
Poolside, Cruces Bulldogs.
Woo.
Hey.
Where's my man Will Benjamin? I don't see him. Is he at poolside?
He's inside writing his Hall of Fame speech.
There he is.
Oh, he's in the back. All right, there you go.
Anyway, back to the 5A bracket, and look, if anybody's going to give, and Sebastian, it's Volcanoes to lose. We know that, right? Anybody that you think, Hobbs maybe?
Yeah,
Hobbs won 11 in a row, but they don't have Wisdom Anthony.
The good news is here, you're going to get to see the top 4 teams at the pit, because this thing's going chalk. There's no doubt.
Chad.
Well, again, it's not enough to be the best. You have to play the best. And if Volcano Vista shows up, gets their rest, and drinks their water, it's going to be hard to beat, because I've seen them play a good El Dorado team twice, and it was a blowout both times. So Volcano Vista.
Aaron?
Yeah, Volcano.
Volcano Vista, it's a wrap here as far as everyone picking Volcano Vista. Let's go to the 5A boys bracket, and it'll be the number 1 seed of Las Cruces Bulldogs taking on the 16 seed Albuquerque High. Albuquerque High, Greg Brown gets in. 8th seed Santa Fe will take on the 9th seeded San Diego Matadors. 5th seed Trisco Heritage will take on the 12th seed El Dorado Eagles. 4th seed Hobbs Eagles will take on the 13th seeded Farmington Scorpions. Number 3 seed La Cueva Bears will take on the 14th seed West Mesa Mustangs. 6th seed Los Lunas will take on 11th seeded Cleveland. 7th seed Rio Rancho will take on the 10th seeded Carlsbad Cavemen. The 15th seed Oregon Mountain will take on the 2nd seed Volcano Vista Hawks. Let's go to the number 1 seed Las Cruces Bulldogs will take on the 16th seeded Albuquerque High Bulldogs. Won 4 of 5 to end the season. So congratulations to Greg Brown, the Albuquerque High Bulldogs, getting in the tournament. Sebastian.
Las Cruces, I think, deserving number 1 seed. You know, what's different about Las Cruces this year than last year is, you know, last year kind of Cleveland showed the way where they double team Deuce, and some of those other guys felt uncomfortable on the floor. Well, those other 2 guys, David Cruz and Shug Valles, they're not uncomfortable anymore. They know what to do with the basketball now. Coach Benjamin is going to walk into every game with the advantage of I have the number 1 and number 2 player in the state on my team. That's Deuce Benjamin. That's Isaiah Carr. So he's going to have that in his back pocket. Do I see a team on that side of the bracket that's going to challenge him? I mean, 3 months ago, I would have said Sandia. I used to love Sandia, the way they used to play, with Sean Johnson getting 20 to 25 bully points inside, and Eli Lovato getting 20 bully points a night. But Sandia's really turned into a perimeter shooting team, and I just don't like that anymore. That doesn't fit their DNA. Trisco's trending in the wrong direction. El Dorado's playing a little better, but I don't know if they can get past the Trisco there. I think Las Cruces, Coach Benjamin, you got the 1 seed this year. You got a nice draw there. I would love to see a Las Cruces Hobbs rematch. That will be a great game, Ed.
Yeah, Las Cruces beat Hobbs earlier in the year, 70-55, but Coach Benjamin was very complimentary.
Oh, Hobbs is a good
Eagles.
team.
Yes.
They got Aaron Mora inside 6'6". He shoots it over 60%. So if there's any shots that Jalen Gore happens to miss that night, Mora usually cleans it up inside.
The other thing I want to mention about Las Cruces, Isaiah Carr, 3.7 blocks per game. There's another rim protector there for you. Chad, anything as far as your favorite here in this boys 5A bracket?
Well, the surprise for me, I had the good opportunity to do a lot of Manzano games, a lot of Capital games, and some Albuquerque High games, but I haven't done Los Lunas. 8-8 to start the season, but they won 12 in a row. 6th seed, and I'm just looking forward to see what they got because I haven't seen them play. So Los Lunas coming in strong into the state tournament.
Coach Travis Julian, an outstanding coach, also former coach at Manzano. Aaron?
Yeah, I'm kind of happy for Los Lunas to see them appear there because obviously now they're up into the 5A, the big boys, and yeah, they've had a lot of success in the 4As, but now, across all sports, but now they got to play with the big boys, and they're into the state tournament, and they're in as a 6th seed.
And they're playing like the big boys.
Mm-hmm.
Best freshman in the state, Jalen Holland. Ed, you and I talked about this earlier in the day. I think, the coach you don't want to match up with in the first round is Travis Julian. He's going to cook something up for you. Ask William Benjamin. Yeah. Remember the stall ball? Remember the stall ball technique he used against Coach Benjamin? So, Los Lunas is playing so well right now. A little bit of a funny, La Cueva, West Mesa. West Mesa beat La Cueva, but I'll tell you what. I think if there's a team that could make a run all the way through, La Cueva, you look at the Bears.
Well, they're chock full of good players.
Offensively, they are the most efficient La Cueva team I've ever seen. You think about it, their leading scorer is a guard in Exodus Ayers, but they shoot over 54% as a team. That's unheard of.
Very good point.
Unheard of. Coach Joyce has them playing so well, so organized. And then I'm watching the game this morning, Ed, the replay, and for all the things we say about X, he might be the best passer in the state of New Mexico. He makes some passes that I never see. It's just amazing.
If you think about it, he could average 35 or 40 points a night. Easy.
Right? Or 20 assists.
Yes.
Whichever he chose.
Long range, he can shoot and then gets in the paint whenever really he wants. So you've got to get big guards to stop that. And when he penetrates, Trujillo's there for an easy bucket. Athletic, explodes. Said Yates, explodes. Athletic. Jacobson, the big man, not quite sure what he's about yet as far as his own body. Wait till he finds out. He's 6'10", and he'll block a shot. He'll make a one key play a game, or maybe 2.
You know who knows how to use his body? That's Big Devin Dyer. He knows his role on that team, doesn't he?
His dad was he's a defensive end for La Cueva, and he knows how to use his body.
State, isn't he?
Right, yeah, he's going down. He's going to be an active.
Where his dad was.
How about further down there, Rio Rancho?
Well, you mentioned
Keegan Caton is the most underrated player in the state of New Mexico. Like, he can do it all around the basket. He can step out and hit a jumper. He can guard a little bit. If you want a sleeper, Rio Rancho, second round against Volcano, We don't know the health status of Caden Valdez. He had an ice pack on looked like his Achilles last night. He came out early in the first half. So we don't know the health status there. Rio Rancho, I think, is a team not a lot of people are talking about. They've played a phenomenally tough schedule. Best defensive team Coach Salata has had in a long time. I mean, look out for the Rams, maybe.
Buying him a good point guard there for Rio Rancho, no question about it.
Yeah,
He's
I was going to
played
say,
well.
you mentioned Exodus Ayers being one of the best passers in the state. How about Jamal Bynum?
Yeah.
That guy always seems to cook up magic right when Rio Rancho needs it the most. I mean, and he's done it in multiple sports as well. I mean, he did it in soccer to get them a state championship. He's got that championship pedigree.
I'll tell you what, that side of the bracket has landmines everywhere. I mean, that is a tough side of the bracket.
It's tough.
Coach Benjamin's got to be pretty happy with his draw here, because I definitely think that other side of the bracket, man, I mean, you could make a case for 4 teams on that side of the bracket to make it into the championship.
You got to pick. Let's start with Chad Patterson.
Well, I'm a Lee County boy. I have to go with the Hobbs Ralph Tasker Eagles. How can I not? But I'm looking forward to it. I haven't seen Hobbs play, and that's what I'm really looking forward to is the teams I haven't seen this year. So I'm going with the Hobbs Eagles.
Hobbs Eagles.
Aaron?
Sebastian. Aaron.
Oh. Well, I mean, I think I got to go with either Las Cruces or Volcano. They play so good, but I'd have to go with Las Cruces. With Benjamin and Carr, it's just too tough to beat them at this point. I think Volcano probably will still come out of that side of the bracket. But, I mean, they'll pack in the pit because they'll have the boys and the girls in the championship, but it's Bulldogs at the end.
Sebastian.
You know, Volcano, I mean, if Caden Valdez is healthy, you have Valdez and you have my boy Oscar McCoy. Oscar freaking McCoy, right? He can guard everybody. They have such a defensive presence. They've gotten so much better down the stretch. They held Atrisco to 5 field goals through 3 quarters yesterday. That's unheard of. So if they're healthy, then I like Volcano there. But Achilles is nothing to mess with, and I love the way La Cueva's been playing. So Cruces gets through on that side over Hobbs, I think. And then I think I might be La Cueva over a Volcano team that's not healthy. And then I would take Cruces over La Cueva in the championship.
I think La Cueva, as you mentioned, somebody to really keep an eye on. Jaden Malone's probably a Volcano Vista Hawk that's not talked about enough.
Well, Ed, you're 100% right. Because when at the beginning of the season, you remember he used to shoot a lot of threes.
Right. All of a sudden he didn't.
All of a sudden he just stopped shooting and he's like, I'm going to just start passing it and rebounding and doing all these. And he became a totally different player. And that's when Volcano kicked into another gear and it changed the whole team. What an amazing job by Malone to totally change as a player. And it changed the whole trajectory of that team.
Knowing your role, right? I mean, he could score. He knows it's almost like Exodus Ayers. Exodus Ayers can score every time he wants to, right? But knowing what your role is and being unselfish. And so I think you're right about the Hawks. If they're healthy, they'll be in the championship game. For me, I've got Las Cruces. I think it's their year. You mentioned Deuce Benjamin's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, right? And again, but Volcano Vista's defense, that's going to be a defensive battle if they do match up. Volcano Vista, their half-court defense, you try to drive in on Caden Valdez, his core is so strong, you just bounce off him anyway. They play very good defense. They got rim protectors in Aquino and Alter. So,
and I think Greg Brown's the only coach in this entire tournament that can say, hey, I got 10 guys. I can go 10 deep.
You know, we mentioned the Trisco Heritage, too. We don't want to leave them out. Steve Heredia took over mid-season. And Chris Potta, you told me this, Sebastian, he is back, but somewhat on a minutes restriction. One of the best point guards in the state, without a doubt.
Coach Heredia did say that once the tournament started, that minute restriction was off. So he's back good to go 100%.
With that, what do you think of their prospects?
You know, they look different. I mean, there's just something. They don't have 5 guys on the floor that are a threat to score. So defensively, you don't have to guard all 5 guys anymore. And so that's going to be El Dorado's going to give them all they can handle. Coach Sanchez started playing a lot more of his young guys off the bench down the stretch, and El Dorado looks like a whole new ball club. So that's going to be a really good first-round matchup. I think El Dorado maybe could pull that upset.
They've got to get a little bit tougher in interior defense. Heckroth can score. We know that. Jackson off the bench. Mitchell off the bench. Thompson. They've got some kids that can put the ball in the basket. It's just sometimes defensively, I think, and Coach Sanchez said that, they're not tough enough inside. So we'll see what happens
But you know,
as
this
far
is
as that
like
goes.
every coach I talk to is like, my kids aren't tough enough.
That's
Like,
true.
So like I mean, if I had a nickel for every time Danny Brown said, "Oh, I want my kids to get tougher," I'd be a millionaire right now. He says that every time I talk to him.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
Coaches are always talking that junk.
Yeah, last night he sure ran up and down that sideline, and he was into the game. He always is. He coaches a great team. A great game. So we're going to wrap it up. And again, thank you for joining us on the ProViews 2022 New Mexico High School Basketball Bracket Breakdown Show. Thanks to Steve Davis and the NMAA. For Chad Patterson, Sebastian Noel, Aaron Rivera, I'm Ed Nunez. Thanks for watching ProView Networks.